The male protagonist survived a plane crash in his childhood. He became the sole survivor. To survive, he became a mercenary. 10 years later, by chance, he returned to his hometown to attend school and found his family again. Today is his first day at school. The female classmates blushed and became shy when they first saw such a handsome male classmate. The teacher pointed to an empty seat at the back and told him to sit there. At this moment, Li Ziying in the class became jealous due to the strong reaction from his classmates. He developed a strong interest in him. As Yi Zhen passed by, he tried to play a trick on him, but he seemed to sense the danger in advance. He immediately stopped in his tracks. Li Ziying was stunned by this. In his 18 years, he had never failed a prank, but today he was outmaneuvered by a seemingly fragile student. Yi Zhen then turned his eyes to stare at him. Ziying asked, "Who are you glaring at, punk?" As he prepared to make a move, he remembered the major's words. Before Yi Zhen returned to the country, the major had instructed him to avoid fights if possible. Yi Zhen had said he didn't understand the situation there yet, so how could he get into fights? If he acted rashly, he might lose his life. "I have experience in this area after all. I've been a soldier on the battlefield for 10 years, but the major said that wasn't the reason he shouldn't fight. It was because he feared Yi Zhen might use excessive force, endangering his opponent's lives." At this moment, the teacher asked him why he wasn't moving. Yi Zhen snapped back to reality and said, "Sorry." With clenched fists, he continued walking forward. Ziying looked smug, thinking this guy must be scared. After sitting down, his deskmate Park Yingcan greeted Yi Zhen warmly. Suddenly, he glanced at Ziying. Leaning toward Yi Zhen, he whispered, "Were you scared just now?" I saw Li Ziying stick out his leg and warned Yi Zhen to be careful of Li Ziying and Zhu Xianzhen in class. Yi Zhen just glanced at them, then turned and thanked Yingcan with a smile. Yi Zhen, attending school for the first time in 10 years, was curious about everything around the school. Yingcan listening attentively to the lecture, students in front dozing off, and classmates giggling while discussing which Japanese actor was more handsome on their phones. Looking at this peaceful scene before him, he recalled how he had lived amid gunfire and bullets every day for the past 10 years. He couldn't help but marvel at how truly peaceful this country was. After school, Yi Zhen waited at the gate for his sister Duoyan to go home together. Female students couldn't help but steal glances at him. Duoyan rushed over in confusion and asked, "Brother, are you waiting for me to go home?" Yi Zhen replied, "Of course. Do you have other plans?" Duoyan looked around nervously and quickly answered, "No. It's just that all this is so sudden." Walking on the road, Yi Zhen said, "Does it feel awkward?" Duoyan was nervous and didn't know what to say. He said, "No need to panic, to be honest. I feel a bit awkward too." Duoyan looked at him, finding this reunion with a relative after 10 years somewhat strange, because in Yi Zhen's memory, he had almost no memories of his grandfather and sister. He just knew they existed. At this moment, Duoyan's classmates spotted them at the convenience store. One called out Duoyan's name. She tensed up immediately. A male classmate asked who that was, and the female classmate replied, "The one that Shizhen has her eye on." Apparently in Duoyan's class, there was a classmate named Shizhen who bullied her every day. The female classmate said disdainfully, "Liu Duoyan, what's going on? Got a boyfriend? With your pathetic looks, you're actually dating?" Duoyan quickly explained, "No, this is my brother." Yi Zhen turned and asked Duoyan, "Are they your friends?" Duoyan nervously replied, "Classmates." But the female classmate retorted, "What nonsense? Who's your friend?" Yi Zhen gave them a cold stare. The fat male classmate growled, "What are you staring at, kid? If you don't want to die, scram." Another male classmate added, "Is this guy mental? He's still staring at me." Yi Zhen didn't respond after hearing this. The fat student couldn't contain himself. He approached Yi Zhen and said, "Want a beating? Trying to look tough in front of your sister?" Yi Zhen still said nothing, just stared at him intensely. The fat student became furious. He grabbed Yi Zhen's collar and was about to slap him. Suddenly, Duoyan bowed and said, "I'm so sorry, my brother has been living abroad and just returned recently. He's not familiar with the culture here, that's why he acts this way." The fat guy snarled, "So he's been living abroad and just came back. What's that got to do with me?" Yi Zhen glanced at Duoyan. Seeing her too frightened to speak, he forcefully shook off the boy's hand, making him howl in pain. He walked up to Duoyan, told her to wait for him a moment, then covered her head with his school uniform. The fat boy charged from behind. Yi Zhen reacted quickly with a powerful strike. The boy collapsed to the ground. Another classmate stood up seeing this. Yi Zhen gave him a serious look, then rushed toward the other classmate with a front kick. The classmate flew backward. The female classmate was stunned. Yi Zhen turned to look at her. She trembled with fear. Duoyan removed the uniform from her head. Seeing the scene, she was confused. She'd only been covered for a moment. How were these two already immobilized? Yi Zhen approached and said, "I'm very sorry. Did I scare you?" Duoyan was surprised by this sudden apology. She handed the uniform back to Yi Zhen. He said, "Let's go home now." The female classmate remained frozen in place. Was this really the same person? Duoyan explained to Yi Zhen. "In this country, staring at people like that is considered rude. That's why they reacted that way to you." Yi Zhen replied, "Where I used to live, we also avoided eye contact with others because it could signal danger." Duoyan tilted her head and asked, "Really? Then why did you do that just now?" Hearing this, Yi Zhen looked at Duoyan. Remembering her terrified expression, he said, "Because those people seem to be troubling you. Hearing this, Duoyan lowered her head. Yizhen looked confused and asked if he said something wrong. After returning home, Yizhen volunteered to do the dishes after dinner. Grandfather asked, "How was your first day at school? Nothing happened, right?" Yizhen paused while washing the dishes. He turned to look at Duoyan. She seemed to understand something from his glance. Yizhen said, "Nothing happened." Lying in bed that night, he thought about reuniting with his family. Murmuring their names, he drifted off to sleep. The next day, Shizhen learned from the female classmate about what happened yesterday, that the transfer student was Liu Duoyan's brother. The classmate anxiously asked Shizhen, "Is it really safe for us to keep bullying Liu Duoyan?" She recalled Yizhen's piercing gaze and became uneasy. Shizhen retorted, "He's just an ordinary student. What could happen? My brother is in a top gang in the 3rd year." Duoyan was walking up the stairs when Shizhen slapped the back of her head, telling her to come along. Duoyan asked where they were going. Shizhen mocked coldly, "Where? You're walking with your head high since you got a brother, huh? Stop talking and come with me." The next moment, Duoyan was being beaten. Shizhen told her, "Seems like your brother has some skills, that's why our Duoyan is getting so full of herself. Have you forgotten who you are? From now on, your brother won't have it easy at school either." Duoyan asked in confusion what she meant. Shizhen smiled and said, "Do you know who your brother messed with yesterday? My brother's friends. My brother said he'll deal with him, they've probably met by now." Hearing this, Duoyan was shocked. She shouted, "What are you going to do to my brother?" Seeing Duoyan speak to her this way, Shizhen slapped her hard. Duoyan realized her brother was being targeted because of her. Tears streamed down her face. She suddenly stood up and ran quickly toward the classroom. At that moment, school bully Kim Ji-soo arrived at the classroom with his gang. The classmates looked frightened. Duoyan burst in. Yizhen looked at her, seeing her injured face and dirty, trampled clothes. He realized what his deskmate Park Yingkan had told him was true. Just earlier, Li Ziying and Zhu Xianzhen had been taking turns bullying Yingkan. When Li Ziying threw an eraser, Yizhen happened to block it. The two glared at him, saying they didn't like him, and told him to meet them after school for a lesson. Yizhen asked Yingkan if he was okay. He held back tears and said, "I'm fine, I'm used to it." He then asked Yizhen if he wanted a tour after school. Yizhen declined, saying he needed to go home with his sister. Yingkan, hearing Yizhen had a sister, mentioned she also attended this school. So he asked her name, and when Yizhen said Liu Duoyan, he was stunned, then incredulously confirmed, "The Liu Duoyan from 1st year?" Yizhen asked curiously, "You know her?" Yingkan said Duoyan had a tough time at school. It turned out Duoyan had been well known for a while. She was studious and pretty, popular among the boys. But because a boy who liked her was the crush of another girl, that girl became jealous and started bullying her. Hearing bullying, Yizhen asked, "And everyone else just watched?" Yingkan explained that the girl's brother was the school bully, Kim Ji-soo. After graduating, he ended up in the same class as this girl. She was bullied severely every day. Yizhen found it unbelievable. Just because someone liked her instead of the bully's sister, she was bullied to this extent. Yingkan sighed helplessly. The reason doesn't matter much. Who cares when their family includes a congressman? Yizhen thought about Duoyan at home, because whenever grandfather asked Duoyan how school was, she would cheerfully say everything was fine. So all this time, his sister had been suffering in silence. She just didn't want to worry grandfather and her brother. Realizing this, Yizhen knew what he had to do. Kim Ji-soo saw Yizhen and gave him the middle finger, telling him to come outside. Yizhen asked, "Are you Kim Ji-soo?" Ji-soo arrogantly replied, "That's right, not bad kid. You already know my famous name even though you just transferred." Seeing this, Duoyan became frightened. She cried to Yizhen, "I'm sorry, brother." Yizhen said, "Duoyan, you don't need to apologize, because the ones who did wrong aren't you but these guys." As soon as he finished speaking, Yizhen swiftly subdued one of the lackeys. The other lackeys were stunned. The fat one swung at him. Yizhen caught his arm with a reverse grip, then delivered a palm strike. Jisoo felt a hint of fear watching this, wondering what just happened. Yizhen walked over and said, "I heard my sister has been having a hard time because of you all." Jisoo said slyly, "You've got some moves," then kicked at him. Yizhen dodged perfectly. He tried kicking from another angle. This time Yizhen grabbed his thigh and punched him in the face, looking at the person who had bullied his sister. He wasn't planning to let him off easily. He delivered another kick. In just a few minutes, all of them were seriously injured on the ground. Li Ziying and Zhu Xianzhen were stunned. His sister was also shocked, covering her mouth. Was this really her brother? Shizhen's jaw dropped in surprise. Yizhen turned to look at her, clenching his fists. The two girls were terrified by his stance. Duoyan grabbed him, telling him to stop. Yizhen turned and said, "Didn't they say these guys have been bullying you? Weren't you just beaten by them?" Duoyan wondered how her brother knew about this, and if he'd gotten into this fight because of her. Suddenly she smiled and said, "It's fine now, really, so please stop, okay?" Hearing his sister plead for them, he said, "All right, I'll take you back to your classroom." The students began whispering what happened. Kim Jisoo's gang was taken down by one person. That transfer student is too strong. Duoyan said, "Brother seems to be good at fighting. I'm always causing you trouble." Yizhen looked confused. Duoyan said guiltily, "Brother has been fighting because of me, yesterday too." Yizhen smiled and said, "What are you talking about? Isn't this what I should do?" Duoyan looked at her brother in surprise. Yizhen continued, "Where I used to live, everyone was selfish and didn't care if others lived or died. They only cared about themselves. But even those people had moments when they weren't selfish. When it came to their family, they became different." Hearing family, Duoyan was startled. Yizhen continued, "I'm curious, what kind of existence is this thing called family?" Duoyan then said, "Brother, you said you don't have memories of me and grandfather, so why bring this up?" Yizhen explained, explained. That's right, I still can't remember much, but the fact that we are family won't change. After escorting his sister back to her classroom, Yizhen returned to his own class. Back at his seat, Ying Kan said to him, "You were really cool." Yizhen couldn't help but smile at his deskmate's praise. Meanwhile, the beaten Jisoo was fuming. Shizhen shouted, "No matter what, he's just one person. You all got beaten by one person and ended up like this?" Hearing this, Jisoo became furious. "Hey, Kim Shizhen, shut up. If you're not satisfied, go fight him yourself." Shizhen was speechless. "One person beat all of you up like this and you're yelling at me?" Jisoo glared at her fiercely. "What did you say?" Seeing his anger, Shizhen didn't dare continue. She stormed off, slamming the door. Back in the classroom, she looked at Duoyan and said, "Liu Duoyan, how nice. You're going to have it easy at school now, huh? If anyone upsets you, you can just run to your brother and complain." Duoyan ignored her. Shizhen trembled with anger. This brat dares to ignore me. Thinking about how she could only watch Duoyan but not touch her now. She was furious. A new feud had begun. After school, Duoyan thought about everything her brother had done for her. With her brother's protection at school, could she finally have a peaceful school life? Would the bullying from Shizhen never happen again? She was so lost in thought that she didn't hear Yizhen greeting her. Yizhen asked what she was thinking about. Coming to her senses, Duoyan realized her brother was waiting to go home together. The two walked home, chatting and laughing. Shizhen watched from behind, fuming. She said maliciously, "Let's see how long you can keep smiling." Yizhen and Duoyan arrived at the supermarket. Their presence immediately drew attention. "Wow, which school are these students from? In my 18 years, I've never seen such a handsome boy." Duoyan noticed this too. She asked Yizhen, "Brother, didn't you have a girlfriend where you used to live?" Yizhen replied in confusion, "You mean female friends?" Duoyan said, "No, not female friends, a girlfriend to date." Yizhen replied, "Your brother hasn't dated anyone yet." Duoyan smiled and said, "That shouldn't be the case, brother. You're so popular, the girls chasing you could probably circle the earth." Yizhen glanced at his sister, not ready to tell her about his past 10 years. He smiled and said, "I'm very busy, so I haven't had time to date." Then Yizhen asked Duoyan, "Do you have a boyfriend?" Duoyan was surprised by the question, then said, "No, I'm very busy too." After dinner that evening, grandfather gave Yizhen a new phone, saying, "I've saved my number and Duoyan's in it." Hearing it was grandfather who saved the numbers, Duoyan was surprised. "Grandfather, didn't you say you couldn't remember how to do it? I usually help you save contacts." Grandfather sheepishly said, "I asked the seller how to do it." Duoyan laughed. "Why ask? Couldn't you just have them do it for you? It's not difficult," grandfather shyly said, "because I wanted to input it myself." Hearing this, the siblings were stunned, realizing how much their grandfather cared for them. Lying in bed, Yizhen picked up the new phone grandfather bought him and sent a text message to the major. "Please use this number to contact me from now on, Liu Yizhen." The next morning, Yizhen came out of the bathroom after washing up and saw Duoyan about to leave for school. He asked his sister, "You're leaving this early again today?" Duoyan replied, "It's already getting late. I need to get to school early to prepare the 3-character classic." She rushed out the door, leaving a table full of hot food behind. Duoyan ran all the way. Looking at the time on her phone, she could still catch the bus if she hurried. She had remade the soup her grandfather enjoyed yesterday morning, but didn't expect it would take so long. Seeing grandfather enjoy her cooking, Duoyan's face lit up with happiness. Suddenly, someone kicked her hard from behind. Then she was dragged to an alley. Seeing several menacing figures wearing masks, Duoyan's eyes filled with terror. A girl in white slapped her. They discussed taking her to a KTV they hadn't visited in a while. The blonde girl squatted down. Staring at Duoyan, she said, "Liu Duoyan, you'll come with us, right?" Hearing this voice, Duoyan immediately knew it was Kim Shizhen. Shortly after, they left the KTV. The owner, seeing the customers leave, went to clean up. Upon opening the door, he froze. Duoyan was lying on the floor, badly beaten. The owner asked if she was all right. Duoyan slowly stood up, gathered her school bag, ignoring the owner's consolation. She left with her head down. At school, the teacher noticed Duoyan's empty seat and asked where she was. Her deskmate said she hadn't come to school today. Shizhen wore a sinister expression. The deskmate asked her, "Beating her like that won't cause problems, will it?" Shizhen laughed and replied, "What could happen? I just taught that arrogant girl a lesson." Little did she know she had angered a soldier with 10 years of combat experience. After school, Yizhen waited at the gate for his sister. After all the students had left, his sister still hadn't appeared. He called her phone, but there was no answer. When Yizhen returned home, he saw his sister's shoes were there. Something felt wrong. His sister would never come home early. Something must have happened. He went to knock on her door, noticing something off in her voice. He asked her to open the door. Duoyan said, "Not now, I'm not feeling well, so I'm lying down." Yizhen grew more suspicious. He looked at his sister's shoes again. They were stained with blood. Yizhen immediately understood. He went to buy some medicine for his sister. Yizhen asked what happened, and Duoyan lied, saying she was hit by a bicycle. Yizhen asked if she wanted to go to the hospital. Duoyan immediately refused, because going to the hospital would expose her lie. She remembered that this time was just like the last. Shizhen and her gang had beaten her while wearing masks. When she reported it to the principal, Shizhen and her parents came, along with the police. Duoyan was certain it was Shizhen who beat her, because she recognized her voice clearly. But they said without evidence, she was making false accusations, and insisted that Duoyan bring her parents to school. Hearing that parents needed to come, Duoyan burst into tears, because if grandfather came to school, it would only worry him more. This situation should be known only to her, so after each bullying incident, she chose silence. Yizhen noticed her spacing out and felt her forehead, asking, "Are you okay?" Duoyan worried that her current state would frighten grandfather, whose heart was weak and who took medication daily. Yizhen told her not to worry, he would handle things with grandfather. As he prepared to leave, Duoyan smiled and said, "Thank you." Yizhen turned and responded with a smile. Outside the room, Yizhen seemed to realize Duoyan was deliberately hiding that she had been beaten. With his years of combat experience, he knew her injuries were definitely inflicted by people. Meanwhile, Jisoo was happily drinking, unaware that danger was approaching. His phone rang. It was his sister Shizhen calling. She told her brother she had restored his honor. Jisoo asked, "What are you talking about?" Shizhen revealed she had beaten Duoyan today. After hearing this, Jisoo laughed helplessly, saying, "You really are trouble." Yizhen arrived at that moment. Jisoo saw him and said through gritted teeth, "I was just thinking of finding you, and you delivered yourself to my door." The man of few words, Yizhen, immediately knocked out one of the lackeys with a punch. The rest rushed toward him. Little did they know they were challenging a soldier with 10 years of battlefield experience. They were truly overestimating themselves. In seconds, several lackeys were down. Jisoo ordered them to attack together. The fat one charged first, but was met with a powerful punch. A lackey raised a bottle to smash it down. Yizhen quickly detected the danger. He ducked and delivered an uppercut to the chin, accompanied by the sound of breaking bones. In just seconds, Yizhen had beaten everyone except Jisoo. He looked at the scene in terror, feeling he might die here today. Yizhen turned to look at him. Jisoo trembled with fear. Yizhen said sternly, "Haven't you learned your lesson from last time? What did my sister ever do to wrong you?" Jisoo told him to wait, then secretly grabbed a glass. The next second, the glass flew toward Yizhen. With quick reflexes, he dodged it. Jisoo charged with a bottle. After several failed attacks that couldn't touch Yizhen, he began to counterattack, easily landing several punches on Jisoo. Jisoo glared at him venomously. This kid had such a composed expression, completely unlike a normal student. He broke the bottle and launched a final attack on Yizhen. Yizhen grabbed him by the throat. Jisoo immediately let out screams of pain. Yizhen slammed him onto the table and said, "Kim Jisoo, how should I punish you? This is the final warning. If I hear you've bullied my sister again, it won't just be a simple beating next time. And tell your sister to behave too. Even if it's your sister who provokes my sister, I absolutely won't let you off lightly." After finishing, Yizhen released him and left coolly. As soon as he exited the door, he encountered Shizhen, who had just arrived. Seeing Yizhen unharmed, she became frightened and told him to stay away. She began backing up, only to trip over a metal pipe, falling to the ground. Yizhen stared at her intensely. Suddenly his phone rang. It was grandfather calling, asking him to come home quickly. Shizhen entered the KTV. She asked her brother what happened, angrily asking if that kid had beaten him up again. Jisoo warned her not to touch Yizhen's sister again. Shizhen impatiently said, "You haven't answered my question." Jisoo, unable to contain himself, said fiercely, "I told you not to touch her again." Shizhen continued shouting, "Are you scared of that kid now?" Jisoo told her to stop talking nonsense and just answer him, but Shizhen refused. Jisoo roared, "Kim Shizhen, if you dare touch that girl again, you'll die by my hands first, got it?" Shizhen felt afraid hearing this. When Yizhen reached home, he saw grandfather waiting for him. Soon the grandfather and grandson were sitting on a bench talking. Grandfather knew Duoyan was injured. He told Yizhen he owed Duoyan too much. He was often absent while working to make money, and did too little for the child. Seeing her grow up safe and sound, grandfather felt grateful. But looking back now, Duoyan had given much more to grandfather than he had to her. After the accident years ago, grandfather felt like the sky was falling. He had persevered until now because of Duoyan. Seeing the child so badly injured now, his heart was bleeding. She didn't tell him the real reason for her injuries, surely feeling there was a barrier between them. Yizhen told his grandfather, "Although I haven't been here long, there's one thing I'm certain of, that you truly love Duoyan, and Duoyan loves you too. Don't worry too much, I'll look after Duoyan at school." Hearing this, grandfather's face beamed with happiness. The beaten Jisoo was hospitalized. His father learned about it and scolded him harshly. His mother shouted, "The child is in this state, can you say fewer harsh words? This isn't Jisoo's fault, it's the fault of the one who beat him. And look at our Shizhen's arm." The mother held his hand and said, "Son, rest and recover here. I absolutely won't let that kid get away with this, just wait and see." After the parents left, Jisoo asked Shizhen, "Why did you tell them? Don't you know it's embarrassing?" Shizhen looked aggrieved and said, "My arm is like this, I couldn't hide it from them anyway." Jisoo asked, "Was your arm done by that punk?" Shizhen nervously replied, "Of course." Then stood up and told Jisoo, "You just rest here. I'll make them understand who they've messed with." Jisoo had a bad feeling. Outside the hospital room, the mother said she had contacted Che Duji. The father asked why contact him, he's a gang leader, we're congressmen, why make such a big deal of this? The mother angrily recalled, "Today is Saturday, I can't wait. Besides, if we leave it to the school, it'll just be a suspension. I don't want to let them off that easily." Shizhen overheard her parents' conversation. She looked smug, thinking they were really going to be in trouble now, unaware she was getting closer to danger herself. That night, Yizhen wondered if after teaching Jisoo and his gang a lesson, those guys would finally stop. Suddenly, he heard grandfather's voice from the living room. "Who are you looking for Yizhen for at this hour?" Two burly men loudly demanded. "Get Liu Yizhen out here now." Hearing this, Yizhen came out of his room. He told grandfather he was going out for a bit and would be back soon. Lying, he said, "They're people I know. I'll just talk to them briefly and come back, don't worry." Grandfather watched helplessly as Yizhen left. Soon Yizhen followed the two men to a warehouse. A lackey told the boss, "This guy's pretty sensible. Followed us without making any fuss." The boss confidently replied, "Is that so? Then let's finish this quickly and leave. I've got some girls waiting for me." The lackeys grabbed their weapons and surrounded Yizhen. The gang boss said to Yizhen, "Poor kid, why did you mess with those children?" Hearing those children, Yizhen immediately understood this was sent by Kim Jisoo. As the boss was about to call Jisoo's mother, he suddenly felt something was off. "What's up with this kid?" Faced with two burly men, the boy showed no fear, his face completely expressionless. A lackey swung his fist at Yizhen. Yizhen quickly grabbed his arm, then delivered a counter elbow strike. Another lackey saw this and swung his weapon, swung it hard at him. Yizhen caught it directly, then delivered an uppercut to his chin. Not satisfied with one punch, Yizhen kicked him hard in the chest. The lackey cried out in pain. The boss watched his nimble counterattack. Clearly this kid was trained. Another lackey tightly grabbed Yizhen, saying, "You're finished now." Completely calm, Yizhen elbowed him hard, then landed another punch on his chin. Within minutes, both burly men were on the ground. He turned to look at the boss. The boss muttered, "You're not an ordinary student, are you?" Scratching his head, he said while walking, "Ha ha ha ha. I never thought at my age I'd have to deal with a student." Facing the gang boss, Yizhen calmly analyzed his weaknesses. The boss began to attack, but after several moves, Yizhen successfully blocked them all. The boss laughed and said, "I didn't expect you to block my attacks." Then he asked who he really was. Yizhen calmly replied, "I'm just a student." The boss clearly didn't believe it. How could you possibly be just a student? This is completely different from kids fighting, blocking most attacks, or preparing to take hits in order to counterattack. That's impossible without courage or experience. But you handled it with such ease. As those words fell, Yizhen assumed his stance. The boss then charged at him with a raised fist. Yizhen perfectly dodged with his arm. He threw a punch at the boss's face, who seemed to have some skills himself. At this point, Yizhen prepared to counterattack. Suddenly the boss realized something was wrong. He wasn't trying to dodge, but to block and neutralize the attack. Just as he realized this, he took a punch. This punch instantly enraged him. The boss attacked again. Yizhen caught his fist with a reverse grip. Then he smoothly delivered another strike. While the momentum was his, he landed another punch to the stomach. After a few moves, the boss was hit so hard he coughed blood. He immediately collapsed to the ground. And from Yizhen's eyes, the boss finally understood. This kid hadn't taken him seriously from the beginning. Though he didn't know who he really was, it seemed Kim Jisoo's group had messed with the wrong person. Meanwhile, with no word from Boss Cha, Kim Jisoo's parents grew increasingly anxious. The congressman father said, "Let's wait a bit longer, he'll contact us." Just as he finished speaking, a call came through. Upon answering, the congressman said, "I'm sorry you had to get involved in this small matter." But Boss Cha's apologetic voice came through the phone saying, "Your child may have provoked someone they shouldn't have. I was defeated by him." Hearing this, the congressman was shocked. Even Boss Cha, whom even the biggest gang in town respected, had been defeated by a middle school student. As the couple wondered what was happening, suddenly they heard someone collapse outside the door. It was Yizhen, who had come directly to find them. Yizhen slowly closed the door again. Outside lay all the security guards who had been watching the house. Jin Jisoo's mother immediately started to nagging at Liu Yizhen. "So you're the guy who injured my child." Only the father noticed something was off. Not just the office manager, even the security guards at the entrance had been taken down. What concerned him more was how this person knew they were here, making him realize this was no ordinary student. The mother continued her aggressive attitude, assuming the person was just a regular student and that her intimidation tactics would work. "Not only did you hit my child, you attacked the security guards and illegally entered an official's office. I'll report all your crimes to the police. I'll make you realize who you've messed with." Liu Yizhen coldly replied, "I know very well. You're a two-term elected congressional member, and I hear you're running in the upcoming election too." As the phone connected, Jin Shizhen, standing nearby, looked extremely pleased. "Haha, you're over now." The moment the call connected, "Prosecutor Choi, it's me. Please come to the official's office immediately." Before she could finish, a stream of curses followed by desperate pleas interrupted her. Liu Yizhen took out videos of the Jin siblings bullying. It turned out that just earlier, Liu Yizhen had secretly infiltrated their home. He discovered the siblings had a habit of recording when they bullied others. Liu Yizhen had copied all these videos, including footage of his sister being beaten by a group. Jin Shizhen tried to defend himself, asking his father to listen to his explanation. "Jin Shizhen, shut your mouth." Jin Shizhen immediately trembled with fear. The mother still acted like a loudmouth. "Are you threatening us now? Do you think we'd be afraid of threats from someone like you?" Liu Yizhen remained composed. "From the beginning, I wasn't the one who did anything wrong. I'm not the one threatening people. It's the person who ordered violence against me, which I've also recorded." Jin Shizhen's father felt a headache coming on. "What compensation do you need?" Liu Yizhen stated he didn't want any compensation from them, nor did he need their apologies. He only hoped they would never appear in front of his sister again. Jin Shizhen's father reluctantly agreed. He initially thought about having them transfer schools. Liu Yizhen remained silent, which made him feel a chill down his spine. No, I'll arrange for them to study abroad. Having gotten a satisfactory result, Liu Yizhen said he hoped they wouldn't appear at school tomorrow. Just as Liu Yizhen turned to leave, the father tried to test his luck by asking for all the videos back. Liu Yizhen turned around, and with just one look, the father was shaking with fear. Do you think I'm stupid? Back home, Liu Yizhen was full of joy, a complete contrast to his earlier demeanor. Seeing his family's worried expressions, with his sister teary-eyed, Liu Yizhen understood the meaning of family in that moment. I'm fine. They were just people I know. We chatted for a while outside. Liu Yizhen looked at his sister who was worried about him. You haven't even recovered fully yet you're worrying about me. By the way, how's your body? His sister mumbled, much better now. Looking at his worried sister, Liu Yizhen reassured her. You don't have to worry anymore. There won't be any more falling downstairs incidents. I've taken care of everything. Leaving his sister with a puzzled expression. The next day, Liu Yizhen personally escorted his sister to her classroom. His sister walked into the classroom still looking concerned. Suddenly she paused. From the students' casual conversations, she learned that the Jin siblings were going to study abroad. Recalling what her brother said last night, she realized her brother knew everything. She ran out and called to her brother. Her brother turned around, but she didn't know what to say. Her brother understood what she wanted to express, and simply said gently, "See you after school." Tears immediately welled up in his sister's eyes. The feelings suppressed for so long were finally relieved in that moment. Meanwhile, the bullies gathered at their usual KTV spot. Jin Shizhen became increasingly angry thinking about going abroad, and not being able to bully Liu Duoyan anymore. She decided on the spot to beat up Liu Duoyan one more time. Just then, the sound of the door opening reached them. The girls were terrified. Jin Shizhen hadn't noticed and continued ranting. And that girl's grandfather is working as a security guard now? I'll tell my mom to make him lose that job too. Damn it, who does she think she is to look down on me? A voice sounded, and Jin Shizhen turned to look. The newcomer made her heart sink. It was Liu Yizhen, all bundled up. Jin Shizhen became very nervous. Liu Yizhen, but she didn't admit it. Liu Yizhen? Who's that? You all seem to be having a lively chat. Perfect timing. Everyone from the video is here. The girls who knew how frightening he was trembled uncontrollably. Those who didn't know were just confused. Jin Shizhen was also scared out of her wits. Liu Yizhen slowly closed the door. At that moment, Liu Yizhen's eyes were filled with murderous intent. As the door closed, Jin Shizhen and her friends were doomed. Meanwhile, the bullies' parents saw their children's bullying videos on the news. The number of video files reached dozens. Not only that, but all the parents' shady dealings were also exposed. Money laundering, election fraud, and charges of bribery. After doing all this, Liu Yizhen encountered his boss on his way home. His brother asked why he did this when he had already made a deal with the official. Liu Yizhen coldly replied, "Because I have a bad temper." His brother said, "If you do that, the official won't let you off." Liu Yizhen walked ahead without looking back. He's probably struggling to save himself now. His boss suddenly understood. He had prepared some evidence to threaten the official just in case, and it seemed the kid had found it. The two siblings finally returned to normal life. Today, his sister sent a message saying, "Brother, you need your own life too. I'll go home by myself today. Don't worry about me, have fun outside." Coincidentally, his classmate invited him to hang out after school. Liu Yizhen happily agreed. Just then, two class bullies approached. "Liu Yizhen, I heard that you forced the Jin siblings to study abroad, though because of all the messed up things they did, they can't even go study abroad now. Let's celebrate after school." But Liu Yizhen had already made plans with Yingcan, so he declined. Meanwhile, Yingcan was sweating nervously. "Really? Then we'll just join you too. That works, right?" Yingcan, scared pale, nodded in agreement. Just then, the teacher walked in with two new students. "Everyone, let's welcome our two new classmates. The girl is Shen Yaner, granddaughter of the chairman of SW, the country's largest corporation, and the boy is Gao Shiju, who grew up with Shen Yaner and serves as her bodyguard. They've been exchange students abroad for 2 years and have just returned." The class bullies looked extremely unhappy, thinking, "We just got Liu Yizhen, and now Gao Shiju shows up. Looks like we'll have to behave until graduation." They walked past Liu Yizhen. Indeed, Liu Yizhen's stunningly handsome face immediately caught their attention. "Who's that? Is he a celebrity?" Gao Shiju said he wasn't sure, as there was no information about him in the files they received a week ago. He kept staring at Liu Yizhen. Liu Yizhen sensed someone watching him. He glanced back at her, then turned away, ignoring her. Shen Yaner felt uneasy. "What's going on? He actually ignored me?" Liu Yizhen chatted with Yingcan about where to hang out after school. Yingcan suggested the internet cafe. Liu Yizhen was shocked. This reminded him of the education about real life that the major had given him before returning to Korea. As a student in S country, there's one place you must know about: internet cafes. As the name suggests, internet cafes are equipped with numerous network devices. Anyone can use them by paying a certain amount. Not just students, adults frequently visit too. People can go online to watch videos there, but most go to play games. Especially students, over 90% go there to play games. So the major explained several essential games to Liu Yizhen, and provided related special training. Liu Yizhen thought, as expected of the major, his intelligence was spot on. Yingcan continued, "After eating instant noodles at the internet cafe, we can go to a coin karaoke place, how about that?" Indeed, the major had also trained Liu Yizhen for this. Coin karaoke places allow you to sing songs for a fee. Thinking about this, Liu Yizhen's expression became serious, clearly disliking karaoke. After school, Gao Shiju made some inquiries, and learned that Liu Yizhen was Liu Duoyan's brother. But Shen Yan'er clearly remembered that Liu Duoyan only had her grandfather and no other family. Gao Shiju confirmed, "That's right, she lost her parents and brother in a plane crash and had been living with just her grandfather, but the brother who was presumed dead suddenly returned alive right before we came back. I think we need to investigate Liu Yizhen further." Since playing games together yesterday, thanks to Yinkin's powerful skills as a top player carrying the three of them through battles, the three quickly became good friends, chatting away. Speaking of which, though Yizhen is great at fighting, he's really terrible at games. Yinkan laughed awkwardly. That reminds me, I'm curious about something. If Yizhen and Gao Shiju fought, who would win? Zhu Xianzhen immediately shared his opinion. No matter how good Liu Yizhen is at fighting, he can't beat Gao Shiju. I heard Shiju has received professional training since childhood. One is professional level, the other is amateur. Rumor has it that Gao Shiju once took down 30 men. Some gangsters were harassing Shen Yan'er on the street, so Gao Shiju stepped in. Initially there were only about 10 men, then 20 more came, and he took them all down. Amazingly, Gao Shiju wasn't injured at all. As Liu Yizhen was heading to school, Gao Shiju stopped him. "Who are you really?" Liu Yizhen was a bit confused by the question. Gao Shiju's eyes were cold. "Still pretending? I found out that the school where you supposedly studied abroad never had you as a student. Why are you hiding your real identity?" Liu Yizhen's eyes turned icy. "Why are you investigating me?" Gao Shiju replied, "When someone suspicious appears, of course I'll investigate." The two stared at each other for a moment. "I just came home, that's all. You asked why I came here? That's the answer." He walked away after saying this. But Gao Shiju wouldn't let it go, believing Liu Yizhen's purpose was to target Shen Yan'er. Meanwhile, Shen Yan'er approached Liu Duoyan. Since they were close before, they quickly started chatting. Shen Yan'er mainly wanted to confirm if Liu Yizhen was really Liu Duoyan's brother. His sister confirmed, of course. "We even did a DNA test." She asked curiously, "Senior, why are you so interested in my brother?" Shen Yan'er was caught off guard by the question. In a panic, she blurted out, "Does your brother have a girlfriend?" At dismissal time, the bullies came again to ask Liu Yizhen to play ranked games. But it was his grandfather's birthday, so Liu Yizhen declined. With no choice, they went with just the three of them. Meanwhile, Shen Yan'er and Gao Shiju compared notes. Gao Shiju said the school's records about Liu Yizhen were all fake, but they couldn't rule out that the DNA test documents themselves might be fake too. They ultimately concluded that if Liu Yizhen came to the school early to target them, he should have tried to remain inconspicuous. His goal was probably the substantial insurance money from the plane crash. Although Liu Yizhen's portion was returned to the insurance company, the remaining amount was still considerable. Thinking about this, Shen Yan'er grew worried. Meanwhile, the Liu siblings were shopping at the supermarket. His sister curiously asked, "Brother, there's something I've been afraid to ask because it might trouble you. How did you survive after the plane crash?" Her brother remained silent for a while. His sister panicked a bit. "If it's difficult, you don't have to tell me." Her brother gently said, "It's okay. The mental impact from the crash was severe, so I couldn't think clearly. Having to survive in a place where I didn't speak the language using whatever means necessary, I was just too busy staying alive." His sister grinned. "Too busy to get a girlfriend? By the way, I heard Senior Yan'er is in your class now." Her brother looked puzzled. "You know each other?" "Yes. She was really nice to me before. I was sad for quite a while when she suddenly said she was going to study abroad. I was really happy to see her again today." The senior even asked if you have a girlfriend, which surprised Liu Yizhen. Back home, the siblings bought a cake and a small gift for their grandfather, a wallet. "You didn't need to buy me something like this. Do you have enough pocket money? We have enough money to buy a gift for you. It's not very expensive. Please accept it." Suddenly, their grandfather's hands began to shake uncontrollably. His eyes grew moist. "I've already received the most important gift. Our Yizhen coming home is the best gift." In that moment, Liu Yizhen once again felt the warmth of having a family. Just then, someone called his sister. It was Shen Yan'er looking for her, saying she had something to tell her. So his sister hurriedly prepared to go out. In the evening, their grandfather was worried about his sister and wanted to go check on her. Liu Yizhen, concerned about his elderly grandfather, told him to rest at home while he went instead. Meanwhile, his sister was chatting with Shen Yan'er at a convenience store. The main purpose was that Shen Yan'er was worried about his sister, as most of Liu Yizhen's records from his 10-year disappearance were fabricated. She suspected Liu Yizhen wasn't really her brother and wanted to tell her this. But seeing how happy his sister looked whenever she talked about Liu Yizhen, she didn't know how to break it to her. Liu Yizhen, who was on his way, was stopped by Gao Shiju. "I suggest you wait here. They haven't seen each other for a long time, so they probably have a lot to talk about. No need to disturb them. They'll finish soon." But inside, he was thinking, is he worried that Yan'er might tell Liu Duoyan about him? So he came out? I'll deal with him after all the truth is revealed. Suddenly, a car came speeding toward them. Liu Yizhen and Gao Shiju turned to look. They were both hit and sent flying several meters away. Liu Yizhen's head unfortunately hit the ground. The car made a perfect drift turn and sped away. Both men painfully got to their feet. Liu Yizhen looked up in the direction the car had gone. Just one look, and his eyes filled with murderous intent. Two men got out of the car. They tied up his sister and Shen Yan'er and put them in the car. Liu Yizhen quickly got up and rushed over. Unfortunately, it was too late. The car sped away again. And so, the two could only watch helplessly as the car disappeared. Both grabbed each other's collars. "Tell me all the places you can think of." "What? I should be asking you that." Gao Shiju thought, maybe this guy isn't involved after all. Liu Yizhen was silent for a moment. Then they released each other. Gao Shiju reported everything back to the corporation and contacted the police to check surveillance footage. Seeing that Gao Shiju knew nothing, Liu Yijin turned to leave, planning to investigate on his own. Wait, tell me honestly, do you have anything to do with this kidnapping? Liu Yizhen couldn't be bothered to argue and was about to leave without looking back. I've already contacted the corporation's security team. They'll find them soon. Until your identity is confirmed, you must stay with me. Liu Yizhen said, you and the security team can go look for Shen Yaner. I'm going to find my sister. Follow me if you want. Looking at Liu Yizhen's expression, Gao Shiju thought, this guy really doesn't seem to be behind this. Meanwhile, the boss was drinking gloomily at a KTV. Liu Yizhen came looking for him. Gao Shiju, who followed, was curious. That's Che Doji, a famous figure in the criminal underworld, classified as a priority surveillance target. How does Liu Yizhen know him? The boss asked Liu Yizhen why he came. Liu Yizhen said he needed some information. Lunatic suddenly showing up just to say that. Liu Yizhen asked if he had any information about the kidnapping of the SW Group chairman's granddaughter. The boss still maintained his intimidating demeanor. Why should I tell you? You're already giving me enough headaches. But when he learned that Liu Yizhen's sister was also kidnapped and saw Liu Yizhen's cold gaze, the boss panicked. This lunatic isn't going to beat me up again, is he? So he said, I'm going crazy. Recently, some guys with poor English approached my men, wanting to use our name to find a warehouse. They also asked for an unregistered car and some people to take care of daily needs. They had several other requests too. The payment was substantial, but I turned them down because it didn't feel right. I heard someone else took the job. All I know is the location is in our city. I don't know any more details. After getting the information, Liu Yizhen thanked him and prepared to leave. The boss suddenly tossed his phone to him. This is my phone. Save your number. Liu Yizhen stared at him coldly, clearly reluctant. The boss got angry. If I find out anything from others, I need your number to let you know, right? Why else would I want your number? Understanding the reason, Liu Yizhen's expression became somewhat amusing. Then Liu Yizhen borrowed the boss's motorcycle to head to his destination, telling Gao Shiju to do as he pleased. You're heading out before investigating thoroughly? Liu Yizhen said Shen Yaner should be safe until the kidnappers achieved their goal, but he couldn't say the same for Duoyan. Looking at Liu Yizhen, Gao Shiju grew more curious, quickly assessing the situation and responding, even coming here for intelligence. Who's this guy really? Liu Yizhen put on his helmet, made a stylish U-turn looking incredibly cool, and sped away on the motorcycle. When his sister woke up, she realized she and Shen Yaner had been kidnapped. She was just collateral damage, as the kidnapper's main target was Shen Yaner. Seeing that both girls had regained consciousness, the kidnappers approached. One of them pointed at his sister. What should we do with this girl? We just brought her along because she was there. The kidnapper boss said useless ones should be disposed of. His sister turned pale with fear. Shen Yaner stood in front of her. If you dare touch her, I'll bite my tongue and kill myself. Then kidnapping me would be pointless. The kidnapper boss found it amusing, because he thought someone like Shen Yaner would never commit suicide to protect someone else. But he was wrong the next second. Shen Yaner bit through her tongue, blood flowing from her mouth. The kidnapper boss didn't expect Shen Yaner to be so resolute and had no choice but to back down. By now, Liu Yizhen had arrived at the destination. Gao Shiju had also followed. Based on the vehicle's movement seen in surveillance footage, Gao Shiju confirmed they were heading in this direction, so they were certain the kidnappers were here. Gao Shiju wanted to wait for the security team before acting. Liu Yizhen said if they waited any longer, it would be too late to save his sister. Gao Shiju had no choice but to join him. They saw several men standing guard. A small-time thug in one corner was suddenly and silently choked from behind by Liu Yizhen. No matter how much he struggled, he couldn't break free. Eventually, he passed out. Liu Yizhen dragged him away to avoid discovery by the remaining kidnappers. Gao Shiju did the same, but he was shocked to see how skillfully Liu Yizhen silently subdued his target. This amazed him, and he couldn't help but ask who Liu Yizhen really was. Liu Yizhen simply answered, your classmate, leaving Gao Shiju speechless. Meanwhile, the SW Group chairman received the kidnappers' demands. They wanted him to cancel a previously signed business contract. If there was no response within an hour, they would kill the hostages. The security team would take 50 minutes to reach the location. This made the chairman anxious. Clenching his hands tightly, two thugs were chatting casually. Suddenly, one of them took a heavy blow to the back of his head. He fell flat on his face, but didn't pass out. He turned around cursing, only to see his companion had already been silently subdued by Liu Yizhen. He too was then taken down by Liu Yizhen with a sweeping kick. Liu Yizhen and Gao Shiju counted their targets. Liu Yizhen had taken down 9, and Gao Shiju had taken down 5. Liu Yizhen asked Gao Shiju who was behind this kidnapping. Gao Shiju said he didn't know, but such incidents had been happening frequently for some time. Suddenly, two kidnappers discovered the lookouts were all gone, assuming they had gone to the bathroom together. When they came out to check, they found the lookouts had all been taken down. Before they could react, one was instantly knocked out by Liu Yizhen's knee strike. The other kidnapper cursed and tried to run, but Liu Yizhen caught him. He kicked the back of his knee, forcing him to kneel. Then his head received a heavy blow. He also passed out, but the commotion was too loud. Not surprisingly, the kidnapper boss inside had noticed. Liu Yizhen moved quickly, aiming to lure the kidnappers away. Meanwhile, Gao Shiju snuck into the warehouse. He soon found the girls. After confirming no one was nearby, he went to untie them. Suddenly, the kidnapper boss walked out from the side. "You must be Gao Shiju from SW. You were always by Shen Yanner's side," which was quite annoying. "Although I don't know how you found this place so quickly, it was foolish to act alone before the security team arrived." A kidnapper wearing a duck-billed cap rushed at Gao Shiju. Gao Shiju quickly dodged. They exchanged blows back and forth. Neither landed a hit on the other, but judging from their skills, Gao Shiju could tell these kidnappers were on a completely different level from those outside. However, Gao Shiju was clearly stronger. Despite being hit by a car and injuring his shoulder, it didn't affect his performance. He began to counterattack, though his blow was blocked. Then he landed a punch on his opponent's abdomen. The kidnapper felt intense pain, but before he could recover, he took another hit from Gao Shiju's sweeping kick. His mask and cap flew off and his face took a heavy blow. He still tried to counterattack, but Gao Shiju caught his fist and shoulder, using his knee against the kidnapper's back, locking him in place. The kidnapper boss watched silently. "I heard you've been trained as a bodyguard since childhood. Your skills are indeed good, but we're not sparring with you." Before Gao Shiju could react, several knife slashes came at him. A drop of blood fell to the ground. Gao Shiju's body now had several wounds. The kidnapper boss looked smug. "Why so panicked? Did you think we'd fight you with bare hands? That's why youngsters like you are easy to deal with. Finish him quickly. We need to relocate before the security team arrives." The kidnapper who had just struck successfully rushed at Gao Shiju again with his knife. Gao Shiju struggled greatly, dodging continuously. The previous deep stab wounds limited his movements, causing his arm to be slashed several more times. The kidnapper boss played with his knife, deciding to deal with the sister too. Gao Shiju thought, "This is bad." He shouted no, trying to shield her, but it was too late. A throwing knife flew toward his sister. His sister watched, tears welling up in her eyes. Indeed, at the critical moment, Gao Shiju shielded her. The intense pain brought him to his knees. Shaking with pain, the kidnapper boss sighed, "Fool," then ordered his men to kill everyone except Shen Yanner. Just then, the sound of the door opening reached them. Everyone looked toward the sound. The newcomer was Lu Yizhen. His sister saw Lu Yizhen arrive and called out, "Brother!" The kidnapper boss, learning his identity, couldn't help but mock him. Then, with a fierce expression, "So the brother came to save his sister? How pathetic." Lu Yizhen ignored the kidnapper boss, just gently asking his sister if she was hurt, but his sister cried out for her brother to run. Lu Yizhen said nothing, his expression calm. Shen Yanner bit her lip, feeling guilty seeing the Lu siblings, knowing she had dragged two innocent people into this, so she tried to negotiate with the kidnapper boss, saying she would cooperate if they let the Lu siblings go. But all she got was the kidnapper's fierce glare and a retort, "Why should I listen to you?" Only Gao Shiju noticed a detail. Since entering, Lu Yizhen's facial expression hadn't changed at all, which gave Gao Shiju some hope. The kidnapper boss ordered his men to quickly kill Lu Yizhen, saying they had wasted too much time. A kidnapper thrust his knife at Lu Yizhen, but Lu Yizhen blocked it and grabbed his hand, but ended up being stabbed himself. Everyone was shocked. Lu Yizhen calmly said, "Duoyen, listen to me. Close your eyes." His sister immediately closed her eyes tightly. Then, Lu Yizhen took the knife and in an instant disabled the kidnapper's hand and foot. Without one foot for support, the kidnapper fell to his knees. The pain made him scream. The action was so fast that Shen Yanner didn't know what had happened. But Gao Shiju saw that Lu Yizhen had not only stabbed the man but had cut his tendons and muscles to subdue him. The kidnapper boss asked curiously, "Aren't you that child's brother? Are you also a bodyguard?" "No, you're different from them. You look young, but your knife technique and your eyes. You're not a bodyguard, are you?" Liu Yizhen didn't respond to the kidnapper boss's questions. "Fine, it doesn't matter if you don't answer. You're about to die anyway." The kidnapper boss tried to slash Lu Yizhen's throat, but to the top mercenary, such an attack was as slow as a snail. The kidnapper boss's slash missed, and he quickly tried to follow up with another. But Lu Yizhen blocked his arm. The kidnapper boss sensed danger. He quickly tried to create distance, but what good would that do? Liu Yizhen moved at an incredible speed. Before the kidnapper boss could react, Lu Yizhen was right in front of him and disabled one of his arms. The kidnapper boss clutched his arm. "Who are you?" He was genuinely shocked, thinking, "How could this kid be better with a knife than me?" Liu Yizhen remained silent. The kidnapper boss attacked first again. The result was the same. His other hand was caught by Lu Yizhen and was similarly disabled. Not only that, but his face took a heavy punch. Now he was staggering. The scene left Shen Yanner stunned. The kidnapper boss held his face. "Right, he's angry now. You little bastard." He started reaching for his gun. Gao Shiju was terrified at the sight. The kidnapper boss aimed the gun at Lu Yizhen. "Die." Before he could pull the trigger, a knife flew through the air with a whoosh. It precisely struck the kidnapper boss's gun hand. A bang sounded, but the shot went wide. Lu Yizhen rushed forward in one smooth motion. He knocked the kidnapper boss's gun away. If the boss were present, he'd recognize this move. Several of the kidnapper boss's teeth were knocked out. Then he crashed heavily to the ground. The kidnapper boss was done for. Gao Shiju and Shen Yanner were both stunned. Lu Yizhen turned around. Both Gao Shiju and Shen Yanner felt alarmed. "Duoyan, you can open your eyes now." His sister slowly opened her eyes. Lu Yizhen appeared before her with a gentle face, helping to untie her. "Brother." Now he was all gentleness. "I'm here to take you home." Liu Yizhen looked completely different from moments ago. His sister was stunned. She looked at her brother's blood-stained face, slowly reached out her hand, caressing her brother's handsome face. "You're bleeding." Does it hurt? The sudden concern left Liu Yizhen momentarily speechless. Finally, he smiled and said, I'm fine. But his sister couldn't hold back her tears, which flowed freely. Liu Yizhen panicked. Duoyan, why are you crying? Are you hurt somewhere? When the security team finally arrived late, all that awaited them was some simple cleanup work. Afterward, his sister was taken to the hospital for examination. Shenyaner felt his sister might have psychological trauma despite appearing fine physically. Plus, she had been bullied by Jin Shijin before. The examination showed she was fine. Liu Yizhen also got checked, just a slight injury from being hit by the car. He originally didn't want to get checked, but his sister insisted. His sister looked at her brother, stammering, wanting to ask something but unable to. The reason was she had accidentally overheard the security team's conversation. They were amazed that her brother had subdued most of the kidnappers. So she couldn't help but wonder about her brother, why he was so good at fighting, and how he had lived before returning to Korea. Seeing his sister wanted to ask something, Liu Yizhen asked what was wrong. In the end, his sister didn't ask because she felt everyone has things they don't want to talk about. Just then, Shen Yaner came over, just to check if his sister was alright, and to apologize, feeling responsible for dragging his sister into this. She had been feeling guilty. His sister told Shen Yaner not to blame herself, you're a victim too. Finally, his sister learned Gao Shiju was in the same hospital and decided to visit him to thank him properly. Faced with his sister's gratitude, Gao Shiju was visibly awkward, clearly not used to such situations. It's nothing. After inquiring about Gao Shiju's physical condition, she finally gave Gao Shiju one last deep bow. Then the siblings left. After watching the Liu Yizhen siblings leave, the group began to discuss. The crew cut guy asked Gao Shiju if he was involved in this incident as well, and yes, he was. The captain received Gao Shiju's confirmation, and the crew cut guy stroked his chin thoughtfully, finding it incredibly hard to believe. Despite his small build and young age, he actually managed to subdue so many people. Shen Yaner was impressed but skeptical, thinking it sounded rather exaggerated. The crew cut guy immediately explained, Miss, this isn't simply about one person defeating many. He silently subdued at least 10 people outside the door. Even taking down just 1 or 2 would be extremely difficult, and he didn't kill any of them. He knocked them unconscious or disabled them. Judging from the wounds of the 2 men subdued inside the warehouse, very few people without training could wield a knife at this level in actual combat. Moreover, those 2 in the warehouse and the 4 unconscious people outside were former soldiers active overseas, known for their exceptional skills. Based on Shiju's report and the condition of those subdued, this child called Liu Yizhen must be a veteran who has received high-intensity combat training, and quite sophisticated training at that. After hearing the crew cut guy's analysis, Gao Shiju and Shen Yaner were shocked. On the way home, the sunset was infinitely beautiful at that moment. Brother, thank you. Yesterday, I didn't get to say it, but I've always been under your care and protection. Brother stopped walking and said, no, I'm the one who should thank you. Sister found her brother's words a bit strange. You're thanking me? Liu Yizhen looked at his sister with tenderness and said, yes, I think I understand now. Sister became more confused. Understand what? Liu Yizhen recalled the scene since returning to this country. It was his first time meeting someone who cared more about him than their own safety, without expecting anything in return. This was an experience he only had after coming to this country. Finally, Liu Yizhen gratefully told his sister, I understand what family means. After returning home, Liu Yizhen continued his physical training, even though he had returned to a normal life. Just then, his sister knocked on the door. Brother, come out and have some fruit. Liu Yizhen got dressed and came out, repeatedly asking his sister how she was feeling. His sister replied that she was fine, saying, you've already asked me that. The siblings sat face-to-face chatting for a while. Suddenly, his sister's phone rang. It was Shen Yaner calling, politely asking about his sister's health. Her true purpose was to meet Liu Yizhen alone, at a coffee shop. Liu Yizhen sat down and sighed, giving off a sense of resignation. Why did you call me out? Shen Yaner said she mainly wanted to apologize to him privately and would stop all investigation into him. When this topic came up, Liu Yizhen's eyes turned cold. Shen Yaner sighed helplessly, unable to face Liu Yizhen's gaze. Don't look at me like that. Frankly speaking, all your records are fake. It's hard not to be suspicious. Because of my special circumstances, I've encountered many dangers since childhood, and I was almost kidnapped abroad recently. When I meet someone with forged documents, it's impossible not to investigate. Although I don't know why your records are fake, I won't investigate anymore. Seeing that Shen Yaner had finished speaking, Liu Yizhen prepared to leave, but Shen Yaner stopped him. Wait, do you have time now? My grandfather said he wants to meet you. He wants to greet you in person. Liu Yizhen directly refused, saying that he wasn't there to save him in the first place. Later that night, Liu Yizhen encountered one of the boss's underlings staggering out of an alley. He appeared to have been stabbed. Liu Yizhen recognized him, but the man blamed Liu Yizhen. You punk. It's all because of you. The boss has been worried about revenge from the official Kim family. This time, he opposed the higher-ups just to help you. Meanwhile, at the entrance of a nightclub, vehicles surrounded the area. It looked like gangs were having a confrontation. A man with a gold tooth leading hundreds of men said, Hey, Che Duji, don't make things harder on yourself. Give up early. Facing hundreds of men, the boss remained fearless. Hey, Choi Ko-sung, you have the nerve to call me pathetic? Knowing my men are on vacation and still not daring to come alone, having to bring the Songso faction with you, You're the pathetic one. The Seongsu faction boss chimed in. Who told you to mess with official Kim? You angered the others, and this time you've caused trouble for the higher-ups too. The boss mocked. Caused him trouble? I just wanted to teach a lesson to Choi Ko-sung, who doesn't know his place and takes any job. This sentence completely enraged the gold-toothed man. You arrogant bastard, everyone, attack. At his command, hundreds of men charged at the boss with weapons. But the boss was trained and wouldn't go down easily. He dodged the incoming bat. A thug's face caught a punch. Not giving the boss a chance to breathe, another thug charged, but the boss easily dodged again and delivered another heavy blow to this thug, sending him flying several meters away. The boss was strong, but not compared to Liu Yizhen's monstrous fighting ability. At first, the boss could handle the situation, but a moment of carelessness earned him a blow to the back. This blow seemed particularly vicious. The boss could barely withstand it as his body started to sway, but the boss endured the pain and fought back fiercely, taking down the thug who had sneak attacked him. However, the situation didn't improve. The enemy's numbers remained overwhelming. The boss thought that he might not make it out today. That punk should have rescued his sister by now. Thinking of this, the boss smiled crookedly. At this moment, Liu Yizhen arrived at the nightclub entrance on a motorcycle. The guard thugs approached, yelling at Liu Yizhen to get lost, but he got kicked instead. The other thugs saw how arrogant Liu Yizhen was and decided to teach him a lesson. A punch flew at Liu Yizhen, but he caught the arm and welcomed the thug with his sandbag-like fist. Another thug froze at the sight. Before he could react, he caught a kick. Then his head was grabbed, followed by a knee strike. In an instant, he knocked out several thugs guarding the door. When Liu Yizhen entered, the scene inside was bloody. Suddenly, hurried footsteps approached. What's going on? Where did you come from? Get out of my face, punk. This is no place for you. Seeing Liu Yizhen unmoved, a thug approached, saying, Cocky brat, when I tell you to leave, you better leave. Before he finished his sentence, he ate Liu Yizhen's fist, knocked out instantly. The watching thugs were stunned, looking at Liu Yizhen's ice-cold gaze. The thugs who regained their senses decided to attack together, but they were no match. Liu Yizhen took them down one by one with punches, one with an elbow strike, another with a kick, his movements flowing like water without a hint of hesitation. The last thug, seeing the situation turn bad, tried to escape, but it was too late. Liu Yizhen vanished from his spot, flashing in front of him and delivering a powerful kick. The thug was sent flying. Meanwhile, the boss was barely holding on, but he had taken down quite a few men. The gold-toothed man thought, this guy Che Doji has injured so many of my brothers alone. Keeping him alive would be a threat. The Seongsu faction boss felt relieved. If Che Doji wasn't alone, this operation would have failed for sure. Fortunately, this guy doesn't like to expand his influence and usually stays out of trouble. At this point, the gold-toothed man spoke. Alright, Che Doji, I know you're impressive, but you must be near your limit now. How about ending this soon? If you surrender now, I might spare you. The boss would never submit. He spat a mouthful of bloody water, glaring fiercely at the gold-toothed man. Oh shit, keep dreaming. Let's see who has the last laugh. Everyone was intimidated by the boss's aura. Suddenly, screams came from outside. A figure leisurely walked in. It was Liu Yizhen. Facing hundreds of men, Liu Yizhen's expression remained unchanged. The boss wondered why he was here. Liu Yizhen said he came to return the motorcycle. The boss was stunned. What is this kid talking about in this situation? The Seongsu faction boss chuckled, assuming Liu Yizhen and the boss knew each other. So he decided to deal with him too. The boss kindly warned, I think you'd better not mess with him. This created a dilemma. Since you two know each other and he's already here, we can't possibly let him go. You should let him go. It's more likely he'll let you go. The Seongsu faction boss didn't understand what the boss meant, but he would soon find out. With a bang, a thug was sent flying. Another one caught a kick. In the blink of an eye, several thugs were knocked down. The gold-toothed man was startled. What's happening? Quick, kill that kid too! The thugs came one after another, only to fall one after another. The gold-toothed man grew anxious. Get your act together. How can so many of you not handle one? But he forgot about the boss's presence. You think I don't exist? The gold-toothed man's face darkened, sensing trouble. Moments later, the gold-toothed man was taken down by the boss. The boss collapsed powerlessly on the ground. A figure approached. The boss looked at the newcomer. Liu Yizhen stood expressionless, with hundreds of men already defeated behind him. The boss thought this kid was truly a monster. Then Liu Yizhen prepared to leave, leaving a message behind. Thanks to you, I rescued my sister in time. I've repaid the favor I owed you. The underling woke up in the hospital to find his boss lying in the next bed smoking. Boss, why are you here? Punk, don't shout. Of course I'm here because I got injured. So I took a taxi here. The underling was confused. If you're here, what about the Kosung faction and Seongsu faction? The boss told him everything was handled. The underling thought the boss was lying because he was embarrassed about being beaten. The boss lay down, then said, if I were really in trouble, my injuries wouldn't be this minor. I heard you went to cause trouble for that kid. The underling scratched his head, remembering he was ambushed after leaving the store last night and felt angry, so he went after him. Being hot-headed, he rushed in, only to be knocked out with one punch. The boss explained. He probably saw you were already injured but still trying to provoke him, so he simply knocked you out and sent you to the hospital. Then he came to the nightclub and quickly took care of both the Kosung and Seongsu factions, saying he had repaid the favor and left without looking back. The underling's eyes sparkled. He's so cool! Soon it was dismissal time again. The class bullies came to invite Liu Yizhen to play ranked games. Liu Yizhen told them to wait at the internet cafe while he took his sister home first, as she hadn't been well lately. His sister was packing her bag, thinking about what to eat tonight. It's Yijin Sr. Wow, he's really handsome, not only good-looking but super nice to his sister. Suddenly, two female classmates approached. Doyeon, does your brother have a girlfriend? Their eyes full of expectation. I don't think so. Hearing this answer, the female students ran off excitedly. His sister thought, my brother has become so popular without realizing it. But why doesn't he have a girlfriend? Is it because he hasn't met someone he likes? Just then, someone called out, Yijin, your sister is here. Liu Yizhen and the other three were waiting at the school gate for his sister. They greeted each other, and the three bullies went ahead to secure spots at the internet cafe. His sister saw that her brother, despite making plans with friends, insisted on taking her home first. This made her feel her brother was being overly concerned. Liu Yizhen said, I'll listen to you, but let's still walk home together often. It's not just worry, I just want to walk with you. Suddenly, two people appeared in front of them and greeted the siblings. Hello there, so you're the child who got involved because of Yeoner. I'm Shen Yeoner's cousin Shen Jiyan. I wanted to thank you for saving Yeoner and invite you to dinner. Do you have time? Liu Yizhen looked impatient. No need, Yeoner has thanked me many times already. You didn't need to come all the way here. Shen Jiyan's expression soured. She hadn't expected to be refused. Wait, besides that, I have other things to discuss with you. It won't be disadvantageous to you. Liu Yizhen walked straight past. I'm not interested. The security guard asked if they should bring her back. Shen Jiyan watched Liu Yizhen walk away. No need, that kid has quite an impatient expression. At the internet cafe, after securing their spots, Ying Kan needed to use the restroom. On his way back, he bumped into someone. The other person looked vicious. Brat, are you blind? Ying Kan turned pale with fear and quickly apologized. But the other person wouldn't let it go and tried to hit Ying Kan. Damn, you little punk, making me angry. You think a simple apology is enough after bumping into me? Just then Ziying appeared with a lollipop in his mouth, looking very cool. Is bumping shoulders really worth making such a fuss about? Then he spat out his lollipop. Hey, you think we're easy to bully? The other person didn't expect to meet someone so tough. In the end, he slunk away. Ziying sighed, looking at Ying Kan. Let's go. If we're late, Xianzhen will start complaining again. Ying Kan looked at Ziying's back, surprised that Ziying had helped him. The two returned to their computers, thinking the matter was over. But the humiliated thug returned with 5 others. Xianzhen was deeply engrossed in his game. When he turned around, he found they were surrounded by 6 men. Come outside with us. Naturally, Ziying and Xianzhen weren't afraid, but Ying Kan was sweating in fear. They arrived in an alley. Ying Kan trembled uncontrollably, terrified that the situation had escalated because of him. I thought your backup would be tougher, but it's just one guy. Damn, you're both dead today. Ziying wasn't intimidated, and instead mocked the other party. You were such a coward when it was just you, running away with your tail between your legs. Now you've brought friends and suddenly got brave, haha. The thug couldn't match Ziying's verbal attacks and switched to physical violence. But he was no match for Ziying either and caught a punch, though the punch wasn't very heavy, not like Liu Yizhen's one-hit knockout power. Ying Kan felt very guilty, blaming himself for everything. Ziying saw through Ying Kan's thoughts and said with a practiced manner, Hey, Park Ying Kan, you don't need to apologize, because the ones who did wrong aren't you, but these guys. Hearing this, Ying Kan initially felt touched, but then Xianzhen burst his bubble. Those are words Yijin said before, right? You're even imitating his expression, it's cringeworthy. Ziying coughed awkwardly. I thought Yijin looked super cool at that time. Seeing the 3 of them start bickering, completely ignoring them, the thugs were furious and rushed forward together. Ziying kicked one away first, then punched another. Ying Kan watched anxiously, not knowing what to do as he had never been in a fight before. Xianzhen called out, Hey, Park Ying Kan, get behind us. You might be better at games, but we're stronger in fights. Ying Kan was stunned that despite the fight being his fault, they told him to stay back. Meanwhile, the defeated thugs struggled to their feet. Damn, Yijin knocked them out with 1 punch before, but these guys are getting up again. They're really persistent. In a moment of carelessness, Ziying took a kick. Before he could recover, he was about to take another punch. Unexpectedly, Ying Kan found his courage and firmly grabbed the attacker, even pushing him to the ground. Ziying seized the opportunity, kicking the thug's head. The thug passed out immediately. Xianzhen sarcastically remarked, You actually needed Ying Kan's help? How pathetic? Ziying immediately objected, and they started arguing again. Then they asked Ying Kan if he was alright, and finally everyone returned to the internet cafe. They just happened to meet Liu Yizhen coming out. They proudly recounted their glorious deed. Yo, Yijin, you're finally here. You missed quite a show, we just won 3 against 6. But when they entered the internet cafe, they froze. Thugs were sprawled everywhere. Liu Yizhen explained, When I came in, they saw my school uniform and attacked me, so I had to deal with them. Looking at the scene before them, their glorious victory seemed insignificant in comparison. They were dumbfounded. Early the next morning, the conglomerate chairman personally visited Yijin. He wanted Liu Yizhen to be his granddaughter's bodyguard. Unsurprisingly, Liu Yizhen rejected outright. Seeing Liu Yizhen's reluctance, the chairman played the emotional card. One sentence made Liu Yizhen pause. I came here not just for Yoner's sake, but also to thank you for what happened 3 years ago. This is something I've wanted to tell you for a long time. Thanks to you, I was able to see my son one last time. It turned out that 3 years ago, Liu Yizhen had accepted a commission. The mission was to protect a group of volunteers. Shen Yaner's father was among them. During this time, Shen Yaner's father saw how young Liu Yizhen was and took care of him, often giving him food. This made Liu Yizhen feel a warmth he had never experienced before. Later, Liu Yizhen accepted another commission and left the area. In a casual conversation, Liu Yizhen learned from a comrade that the volunteers' village had been completely occupied by anti-government forces, and almost all the volunteers had died. At that time, Liu Yizhen accepted a commission that no one else would take, to rescue Shen Yaner's father. After learning the man was Shen Yaner's father, Liu Yizhen's attitude changed. Although I won't take on security work, if something really happens, I won't ignore it. The chairman smiled. That's enough. At dismissal time again, Shen Yaner approached. Although I know you'll probably refuse, my grandfather asked me to invite you, so I wanted to tell you first. To Shen Yaner's surprise, Liu Yizhen didn't refuse this time. Shen Yaner was confused. So the two came to the SW group. Liu Yizhen actually changed into SW group security training uniform. Nearby, Ko Huigu wondered what Liu Yizhen was doing. It turned out that today the chairman had asked Liu Yizhen for another favor, to evaluate the SW group's security team, as the chairman felt his security team was too arrogant and needed Liu Yizhen to humble them. Arriving at the training hall, the purpose of Liu Yizhen's visit was briefly explained. He was simply interested in security work, so the chairman specifically arranged for him to experience it. Soon the training began. The first exercise was running. After several laps, the deputy captain noticed Liu Yizhen hadn't fallen behind, so he increased the speed. After a while, when everyone was panting, Liu Yizhen's breathing remained steady. He seemed to have plenty of energy left. Then they went through a series of training exercises and he outperformed everyone. Shen Yaner couldn't help praising him. Wow, he's so amazing. The second team can't keep up with him at all. Even Shen Jiyun, who was curious about Liu Yizhen, was impressed. The deputy captain thought, what's with this kid? Has he received training before? But when he saw the man next to Shen Jiyun, his face turned purple with fear. Oh no, it looks like the captain is going to punish us. Just then, a team member named Kang Wen raised his hand to ask, Deputy Captain, I heard he played a significant role in rescuing Miss Yoner. I'd like to verify his skills. The deputy captain immediately disagreed. What? You want to spar with a student? Liu Yizhen stepped forward. That's right, Liu Yizhen agreed to spar. The deputy captain scratched his head, feeling helpless. So he had both parties wear protective gear. The crew cut guy was full of anticipation. Most of the SW security team members are from special forces. What kind of skill will that kid have? Shen Jiyeon also remarked, they surely won't lose to a student, right? Didn't they say he was impressive when rescuing Yoner? Heard he's learned some skills? The security team captain said even so, he couldn't possibly handle our team members. Everyone here has received professional training before joining SW group. Soon the sparring began. The deputy captain specifically told Kang Wen to be careful. Kang Wen charged first. A right hook was dodged, followed by a left hook that was also dodged. Nearby, Shen Yaner grew concerned. What's with that guy? It's just sparring. Why is he hitting so hard? Kang Wen's attacks were fierce but couldn't hit the target, no matter how aggressive. Liu Yizhen seized an opportunity and kicked the back of his knee. Kang Wen's body only swayed slightly. Liu Yizhen pressed his advantage, clenching his fist. He threw a punch that was blocked. Kang Wen was still smug. Is that all you've got? A punch flew at Liu Yizhen but was blocked as expected. Then came Liu Yizhen's solid punch, hitting the unprotected part of his face. Kang Wen held his face in pain. Liu Yizhen grabbed his head and delivered a knee strike. Kang Wen was knocked out cold. This scene stunned everyone present. Ko Huigu remarked, the one who doesn't know restraint should be that kid, right? The crew cut guy also noticed that Liu Yizhen had no intention of holding back from the beginning. Is that child really just a student? The security team captain's face turned grim. The deputy captain saw this and paled. Another scolding was coming. When everyone thought the farce was over, another team member named Yu Fang raised his hand. Please let me try too. The deputy captain clearly disagreed, as they'd already been embarrassed enough. But Liu Yizhen interrupted, I'm fine with it. The deputy captain tried to persuade him, thinking Liu Yizhen must be tired. Liu Yizhen said, not tired. I've barely warmed up. This casual remark sent chills through everyone present. Ko Huigu sighed and shook his head helplessly. Soon, the two began sparring. Yufang looked confident. Hey, where did you learn to fight? Liu Yizhen didn't answer his question, instead asking if he wasn't wearing a helmet. The opponent displayed extreme confidence. I don't need one. You should wear it. Liu Yizhen was silent for a moment, then threw his helmet on the ground too. Kid, you've got guts. I admire that. The observing Shen Jiyan and the security team captain discussed who would win. The security team captain still believed his team member wouldn't lose, thinking they lost earlier because they underestimated their opponent for being a student. But now knowing the opponent was formidable, he wouldn't lose again, especially since this was their ace. The crew cut guy thought the same. In a face-to-face prepared battle, physical attributes were crucial, and Liu Yizhen's physique was obviously inferior. Yufang charged first. Liu Yizhen slightly shifted to dodge, then threw a counterpunch that was blocked. Both sides seemed evenly matched. After several exchanges, neither could overcome the other. But Yufang remained arrogant. He started taunting Liu Yizhen. Your punch is heavier than I expected. Liu Yizhen ignored him and threw another punch, which was blocked again. Your timing is good too. but these alone won't break my defense. At this point, Liu Yizhen changed tactics. He raised his foot to attack Yu Feng's knee, instantly breaking through his upper body defense, then attacking his throat. It was a flurry of devastating strikes. Yu Feng's defense was still strong. He gritted his teeth, wanting to counterattack. Predictably, it was blocked. No way around it when facing the strongest mercenary. The next second, with a crack, Liu Yizhen didn't hold back and attacked his throat again. Yu Feng immediately couldn't breathe. Finally kneeling in submission, he lost the match. This scene left everyone dumbfounded. Yu Feng continued coughing. The crew cut guy was particularly shocked, first attacking the knee to break the opponent's upper body defense, then targeting the throat. This way, the physical gap between them was greatly reduced, followed by continued attacks on other vital points. Naturally, his victory was assured. Liu Yizhen turned around expressionlessly and asked again, "Does anyone else want to try?" This time, no one dared to make a sound. The deputy captain approached with some complaint. "Hey, it's just sparring. Attacking the knee and neck is a bit much, isn't it?" Liu Yizhen replied, "Are there rules for sparring? I wasn't aware of that, sorry." The deputy captain wanted to say more, but continuing would make it seem like he was accusing the opponent of not following rules after losing to a student, which would be even more embarrassing. Shen Jiyon had initially doubted Liu Yizhen's abilities, but now those doubts were gone. She asked the security team captain what he thought of Liu Yizhen. The security team captain's answer was naturally that he was very talented. Finally, Shen Jiyon became interested. She stepped forward and said, "All right, let's proceed to the next phase. I heard you want to experience security work. Since you've already tried basic training, now it's time to experience formal security work. You're now in the second team, so just follow me." Meanwhile, the chairman was watching all of this from his office. The two chatted. "That kid is actually in the same class as Miss Yunner. It's unbelievable. Although I knew this from the investigation, even after seeing it with my own eyes, I still can't believe it. That person codenamed Truth is actually such a young child. He had a small reputation several years ago, which means his abilities were recognized when he was even younger than now. Judging by his demeanor, you wouldn't imagine he's the same person." A moment later, Liu Yizhen changed into a suit, preparing for his final security experience. The two thugs who had been beaten up by Liu Yizhen were now being harshly reprimanded. "You've completely embarrassed me today. Get ready for increased training intensity." The affected team members looked very displeased. The deputy captain sighed, thinking they should be grateful they weren't immediately disciplined by the captain. Suddenly, Shen Yaner couldn't help exclaiming, seemingly surprised by something. It was Liu Yizhen in a suit, looking even more handsome. Shen Jiyon's reaction was similar to Shen Yaner's, but the security team members looked at Liu Yizhen with increasing dislike. Soon, Liu Yizhen's final security experience began. His job was to stay close to and protect Shen Jiyon. A security guard opened the car door, and Shen Jiyon got in. There were 2 cars in total. Liu Yizhen observed everything carefully. The security team captain rolled down the window and said, "You sit in the back." Liu Yizhen didn't speak. He silently sat next to Shen Jiyon. Soon the car started. Liu Yizhen observed front and back. There were 2 accompanying personnel and 3 in the following car, 5 people in total. Shen Jiyon asked Liu Yizhen if he had ever thought about entering the entertainment industry, and mentioned that she managed an entertainment company within SW Group, which was where they were heading. Liu Yizhen said he wasn't interested. "Is that so? What a pity. Are you interested in security work then?" Liu Yizhen thought for a moment, since he had said he came to intern because he was interested, so he had to answer yes. They chatted casually, with Shen Jiyon praising Liu Yizhen's strength, easily defeating 2 members of the second security team. Hearing this, the security team captain's face darkened, but Liu Yizhen humbly said, "Those 2 lost because they were off guard. Since I'm a student, they didn't use their full strength. If they had fought with a real combat attitude, they wouldn't have lost like that." Shen Jiyon was surprised, thinking Liu Yizhen would be smug after defeating the guards, but he wasn't. Hearing these words, the security team captain's expression improved considerably. They quickly arrived at their destination, where Shen Jiyon was working in her office. Liu Yizhen and the security team captain stood guard at the door. She maintained her combat stance for over an hour without the slightest relaxation. The security captain couldn't contain his curiosity. "Where did you receive that kind of training?" Liu Yizhen looked at him, seemingly not understanding what training he was referring to. "I mean the basic training and the techniques you demonstrated during practice. Without persistent training, it's absolutely impossible to reach that level." Liu Yizhen didn't conceal anything. "I received training at the place where I used to live." The security captain felt a bit annoyed, thinking Liu Yizhen was joking. In fact, Liu Yizhen wasn't joking at all, but the security captain simply didn't believe her. "At the place where Liu Yizhen used to live. If you couldn't endure that kind of training, death would be waiting for you." By the time Shen Jiyon finished her work, it was already very late. Looking at Liu Yizhen, Shen Jiyon couldn't help asking, "Is it my imagination? You don't seem like someone doing this for the first time." But this was indeed Liu Yizhen's first time doing this job. The security captain thought, it's natural for the vice director to think that way. He should have been asking all sorts of questions, but he hasn't asked even once. Even when we deliberately skipped dinner and took him around everywhere, his expression didn't change at all. It's like he already knew that security work would involve this kind of thing, and he stood guard motionless until the end. Suddenly, a large truck ahead showed something unusual. Liu Yizhen noticed it all. Sure enough, the truck lost direction and crashed through the guardrail. The truck driver had fallen asleep. When the security personnel noticed, it was already too late. He violently turned the steering wheel. With a loud crash, the collision still happened. The car's front end was smoking from the impact. The security captain in the front seat was safe thanks to the airbag. Vice Director, are you all right? But he was stunned by what he saw. Before the accident occurred, Liu Yizhen had already firmly wrapped Shen Jian in his arms for protection. This time, the security captain was truly shocked. This guy had reacted in such a short time and protected the vice director. Shen Jian was still in a dazed state, not yet recovered from the shock. Then the security captain got out of the car. He learned that the other driver had been drinking and was currently unconscious, with people rushing to save him. Shen Jian stared blankly at Liu Yizhen. When she came to her senses, she anxiously asked, "Are you all right?" "I'm fine, but even if I'm fine now, as a precaution, you should come with me for a checkup." Liu Yizhen didn't respond to her but calmly said, "By the way, I think it would be better to wear a seatbelt in the back seat too. In the future." Shen Jian looked embarrassed. "Okay, I understand." The next morning, since it was the weekend with no classes, his sister was preparing lunch early. Liu Yizhen asked her why she was up so early. It turned out his sister wanted to finish making lunch early so she could deliver the bento to their grandfather. After learning the reason, Liu Yizhen said he wanted to go along too. Their grandfather worked as a security guard in an upscale residential community. "Hey old Liu, have you had some good news lately?" Grandfather was puzzled by his colleague's question. "You took a few days off and when you came back your complexion looks much better." Grandfather rubbed his head and smiled awkwardly. "Is that so?" The two chatted for a while. Afterwards, Grandfather went around and sorted some garbage. He wondered, was it that obvious? Memories of reuniting with his grandson flashed through his mind. A smile unconsciously filled Grandfather's face. Suddenly, a young thug parked carelessly. "Boss, could you please move your car to the side? My car can't get through." The thug turned his head with a fierce look. "Damn, why are you so noisy? I'll throw this away and leave." The driver behind was too scared to speak up. The thug took 2 cups and walked toward the garbage bin. He casually tossed them, missing the garbage bin. Grandfather could only help pick them up and put them in the bin. Unexpectedly, the thug's girlfriend had more trash to throw away. "Seriously, why didn't you give it all to me earlier?" Just the same, she threw the garbage outside the bin again. Grandfather picked it up too, without getting angry. And so, the thug drove away. A voice called out, "Grandfather!" It was Liu Yizhen and his sister bringing lunch. "Why are you here?" "So I came to bring you lunch. I can just eat whatever, but the food you buy outside isn't as good as what I make." His sister noticed Grandfather sorting garbage, so she rolled up her sleeves, full of energy. "Let me help you." Grandfather hurriedly waved his hands. "No need. You'll get your clothes dirty." But he couldn't win against his granddaughter. "If they get dirty, we can just wash them. Let's quickly clean up and eat together. I made stewed lotus root that you like." Just like that, little girls passing by couldn't help but look in this direction, because Liu Yizhen was simply too handsome. 2 familiar figures also walked out from the residential area. It's still more comfortable sleeping at home. It was the boss and little brother. The boss was complaining that he couldn't sleep well in the hospital, with nurses walking around at night constantly waking him up. Now they are going to eat something. Suddenly, the boss spotted Liu Yizhen. "Why is that kid here and why is he picking up garbage?" The little brother suddenly said, "Tick, Grandfather, I thought he looked familiar. I met him when I went to that student's house before. I kept thinking he looked familiar. He's a security guard here. I must have occasionally bumped into him when I came to see you before." The boss stood watching from a distance. "So that girl must be his sister? That kid is actually smiling. He looks pretty much like an ordinary student now." The little brother asked the boss if they should go over and say hello. "Let's not. We just ruin the atmosphere. Let's go eat quickly." Soon it was lunch break time. The 3 sat in a pavilion eating their lunch. After the break, the siblings said goodbye to their grandfather and went home. Time came to the evening, and Grandfather was preparing to finish work and go home. Grandfather found that the thug from earlier had parked his car carelessly on the roadside again. So Grandfather went up to kindly remind him, "Cars can't be parked here. If you park here, other cars will have trouble passing through, and it will be dangerous for children too. It would be better to park in the parking lot." The thug looked fierce. "You want me to park in such a narrow place? If another car scratches mine, will you compensate me? You're a security guard here, right? Your salary probably can't cover it." Suddenly, the thug was grabbed by the neck with a large hand. Where did this ill-mannered punk come from? What kind of skill is it to yell at an elderly person? The person was the boss's little brother. The thug was pressed down. "Who are you?" The little brother looked extremely fierce. "You're asking who I am? Damn, what can you do even if you know? Answer me, punk." The thug's face turned purple with fear. Then he was thrown against his own car. "Move your car quickly, bastard. If I catch you being disrespectful to the elderly again, you too are dead." After that, the thug scurried away like a frightened dog. The little brother turned around with a smiling face. "Grandma, are you all right?" Grandfather was stunned for a moment. "I'm fine, thank you for helping me." "Show you're too polite. Don't you remember me? I occasionally come to visit my boss who lives here, and I recently visited Yizhen too." Hearing this, Grandfather finally remembered. In a nightclub, the The boss was drinking alcohol there. The little brother told him about what had just happened. The boss smiled. Well done. A kid who hasn't even grown his beard trying to act tough. Suddenly, a loud bang as the KTV door was flung open. The boss and his companion were stunned, not even noticing that their beer had overflowed. The newcomer was Liu Yizhen, his eyes cold and his body emanating killing intent. Cold sweat broke out on the boss's forehead. What's happening? Why did you suddenly find us looking at me with such terrifying eyes? Liu Yizhen took out his phone to show him. It was a chat with his grandfather, who had sent a photo with the little brother. Your acquaintance seems to live in this neighborhood. The boss and little brother had embarrassed expressions, thinking Liu Yizhen had come to thank them. Unexpectedly, Liu Yizhen asked with murderous intent, "Are you threatening me?" The two immediately turned pale with fear. Wait, let me explain. This is a misunderstanding. It's not what you think. Right, that's just a photo together. Don't come closer, stand there and listen to me. I helped your grandfather chase away a thug who parked incorrectly and then took a photo. Today, the security training had just ended, and Liu Yizhen changed out of his training uniform. Gao Shiju asked Liu Yizhen curiously, "What's up with you today?" This training was much quieter than last time. Liu Yizhen explained that last time he didn't know the training atmosphere and rules here. After all, being viewed as a thorn in everyone's side brings no benefit. Speaking of which, what's going on with you? I heard you don't want to be a security guard anymore. Gao Shiju sighed and began to explain. It turned out that Gao Shiju had never been an official security guard. Having grown up with Shen Yaner, he naturally took on the responsibility of protecting her. But last time was completely due to his own mistake. He watched helplessly as Shen Yaner was kidnapped right in front of him and couldn't prevent it, so Gao Shiju felt he still lacked ability. Anyway, enough about me. Where did you receive your training? Judging from how you restrained the kidnapper and performed basic training last time, you must have had professional training. Liu Yizhen's answer remained the same. I learned at the place where I used to live. This left Gao Shiju speechless again. If you don't want to tell me, just say so. Then Liu Yizhen opened the door. Shen Yaner seemed to have been waiting outside for a while. Liu Yizhen ignored her and walked straight out. Aren't you going to experience security work today? Liu Yizhen turned back, confused. It turned out Shen Yaner wanted to ask Liu Yizhen out but was afraid of being rejected, so she used security work as an excuse to have him accompany her. You don't need to change clothes specifically. The group came to a convenience store. Shen Yaner kept trying to find topics to discuss. When I was living abroad, I really missed Korean noodles and triangle rice balls. Huigu, is there anything else you want to eat? But Liu Yizhen's answer left Shen Yaner not knowing how to continue. We shouldn't eat together during security duty. Gao Shiju sighed helplessly, thinking, I guess I have to step in. Team 3 is responsible for Yaner's security. We just need to casually keep watch while protecting her. Shen Yaner quickly agreed. Yes, exactly. I'm starving, let's eat. And so, Shen Yaner kept asking questions one-sidedly. Liu Yizhen kept answering. Gao Shiju couldn't help but chuckle. It was the first time he had seen Shen Yaner like this. Looking at Shen Yaner, Liu Yizhen was reminded of memories with Xinyan Guo. So he said, can I talk to you alone for a moment? Shen Yaner was a bit surprised and repeatedly confirmed, thinking she had misheard. You want to talk to me alone? Liu Yizhen replied affirmatively. Yes, that's right. Gao Shiju was also very tactful and immediately got up to give them space. Soon there were only the two of them left. Liu Yizhen slowly spoke Shen Yaner's father's name. Shen Yaner found it a bit strange. That's my father's name? Before she could finish, Liu Yizhen interrupted her. What kind of person was he? Shen Yaner didn't understand why Liu Yizhen would ask this. But seeing Liu Yizhen's extremely serious eyes, she could only reluctantly say, he was a busy man because the company was quite large. With so much work, he often went overseas and was rarely seen, so we weren't very close. Later, he developed a terminal illness, but even so, he didn't rest and collapse while working overseas. Despite having little time left, he didn't spend it with his family, only focusing on work. My father rarely returned to the country, so I planned to go see him, but received news of his death on the way. I didn't even see his face for the last time before he died. He only cared about work and left without seeing his daughter's face one last time. To be honest, I resent him a little, although I don't know why you suddenly asked me about this. If you hadn't saved me, I would never have talked about this. Liu Yizhen was silent for a moment. Then he answered, your father said he did all those things for you. Shen Yaner, he said he really wanted to see you one last time before he died. Because he couldn't see you, he felt very sorry. These are the words your father, Xinyan Guo, asked me to convey to you. Shen Yaner was stunned. Yizhen, did you meet my father before he died? Liu Yizhen stood up to leave, that's all I can tell you. Looking at Liu Yizhen's departing figure, tears suddenly dampened her eyes. Father actually said such things? Liu Yizhen hadn't understood at the time, but now he seemed to grasp the meaning of this commission. Back then, Xinyan Guo had already been escorted to his destination by Liu Yizhen. He could have said these words to Shen Yaner himself, yet he entrusted Liu Yizhen to personally convey them to her. Xinyan Guo did this not only for himself, but also to rescue Liu Yizhen from the hell-like battlefield. It turned out that he had also become someone that man could not ignore. Today, Liu Yizhen's home had a rare guest. It was a major from his former army unit who was also his brother. Grandfather warmly welcomed him, expressing gratitude to the major. It was thanks to the major that Liu Yizhen had been able to contact his family and return home smoothly. We also received a lot of help from Yizhen. The major felt a chill just thinking about it. It was truly a life or death situation. Though that was the case, grandfather still sincerely said, but without your help, Yizhen wouldn't have been able to come home. It's a bit late, but I still want to thank you. The major hurriedly waved his hand. You're too kind. And so, grandfather and the major chatted casually. the major stayed for lunch, which was very sumptuous. He ate ravenously like a starving wolf. As he ate, he began to cry. I don't know how long it's been since I've had home-cooked food. This made grandfather a bit sad. Does your mother? The major couldn't help covering his face. She's a terrible cook. My father also prefers to eat out. Every time I eat my mother's cooking, if my expression management slips even a little, she gets heartbroken for days. What I loved most in the unit was the mess hall food. Isn't that sad? His sister and grandfather shared a smile. After lunch, the two went to a convenience store and chatted for a while. Then the major got up to leave. Although I'd like to chat more with you, I need to meet my fiancé. Liu Yizhen looked at the major with a strange expression. Fiancé? You're engaged? Why are you looking at me like that? Do I look like someone who can't find a partner? He then explained, it's a match arranged by our families. Anyway, I'm always on the move and don't have time to meet women, so it's actually a good thing. Take care of yourself. I'll be going now. Suddenly he stopped. By the way, Yizhen, have you found the answer to that question? It turned out Liu Yizhen had once asked the major a question about what family meant. Liu Yizhen replied happily, I think I found it. That's good. See you next time. Scene changes to the major arriving at a coffee shop. Surprisingly, the major's fiancé turned out to be Shen Jian. The two drank coffee and chatted. Since they were both very busy people, they had only met 14 times in the years since their engagement. Suddenly, Shen Jian took out Liu Yizhen's file. I have a favor to ask you. Could you investigate him for me? He's a transfer student in Yonner's class. After some investigation, I found all his documents have issues. I wanted to conduct additional investigations, but was stopped by the government. The major, who had been all smiles, gradually became serious. I'm sorry, but I can't agree to this request. Shen Jian was stunned. After a moment of silence, I understand. You don't need to be so serious. The major was at a loss and broke out in a cold sweat. Yizhen, brother has made a big sacrifice for you. A few days later, Liu Yizhen received a call from the boss, informing him that the major and his unit had lost contact during a mission. Meanwhile, the major's situation looked extremely urgent. Damn it, what's going on? Why did the enemy's movement suddenly change? The enemy lurking in the shadows revealed a sinister, cunning smile. Now the hunt begins. The reason the boss told Liu Yizhen about this was because he knew about Liu Yizhen's relationship with the major. He hoped Liu Yizhen would prepare mentally and not act blindly. Let the military handle everything. After all, times have changed. Don't forget, you have a family now. I understand. Liu Yizhen hung up the phone. Memories of times spent with a major flooded his mind. Hey, is this kid really our comrade? Really? Has he remembered? Yeah, although his memory hasn't fully recovered yet. When Liu Yizhen was struggling to recall his memories, the major would run over to comfort him. Don't force yourself. Take it slow. Until Liu Yizhen remembered his family and his own name. To help Liu Yizhen adapt to normal life, the major and his group taught him how to play games. Until one day, the major hurriedly ran over. Yizhen, we found your family. I heard you have a grandfather and a sister. Everyone was happy for Liu Yizhen, you punk. Congratulations. By the way, after returning to the country, shouldn't Yizhen treat us? Ha ha ha. At this moment, Liu Yizhen was a bit confused about whether he should return to that battlefield. Brother, dinner's ready. Come and eat. Liu Yizhen walked out of his room, looking distracted. Grandfather called out, why are you still standing there? Come sit down and eat. Liu Yizhen snapped back to reality. Then he sat down. His sister and grandfather ate and chatted, but Liu Yizhen hadn't touched his bowl or chopsticks at all. Suddenly, he asked his grandfather a question. Grandfather, do you think we should help someone who has helped us before when they're in danger? Grandfather pondered for a moment. This question is hard to answer in just a few words. First, it depends on what kind of help they gave you. Second, it depends on your capabilities. But what's certain is that the one who first offered help definitely has a more generous heart. Although the value of help can't be measured, they were still the first to extend a hand without calculating the cost. And debts of gratitude from the past must always be repaid. If you can't fully repay them, at least help them as much as you can. Hearing grandfather's words, Liu Yizhen suddenly felt clear. Grandfather, meeting you again makes me feel truly fortunate. Grandfather had a benevolent expression. Hearing you say that makes me very gratified. Then, Liu Yizhen looked at his sister. Doyo, seeing you again is also a very fortunate thing. His sister lowered her head shyly. Brother, as expected of someone who has lived abroad, you always say such sweet things. After dinner, Liu Yizhen called the boss. Yes, he had decided to go, and hoped the boss could help prepare some equipment and supplies if possible. Scene changes to Gulian, one of the locations where Liu Yizhen had operated before. The major and his team were trapped here, not even knowing how many enemies were lying in ambush. By now they were exhausted. They had wounded members. But they needed to reach the next base to wait for rescue, and the wounded probably wouldn't last that long. Their supplies were also almost gone. The situation was very dire. The enemy's situation was the opposite. They knew the terrain well and were hiding in the shadows. Suddenly, the enemy leader felt a sharp pain. He covered the scar on his face. Damn, it's hurting again. Whenever he was about to forget, the pain would sweep over him. This scar had been caused by Liu Yizhen. At this moment, a plane was heading there. The person on the plane was Liu Yizhen, who had come to help. Liu Yizhen was resting with his eyes closed. Soon, an alarm sounded. The aircraft will land in 1 minute. Please get ready. As the alarm sounded, the strongest mercenary opened his eyes. The slaughter was about to begin. As soon as Liu Yizhen landed, he went to outpost number 2. He found clear signs of recent combat. He determined that the major and his team hadn't been able to escape. Looking at the numerous footprints on the ground and their direction, Liu Yizhen knew the major's group was heading to outpost 3, so he decided to take a shortcut. Meanwhile, the major's side was in the midst of combat. Suddenly, an enemy pulled out a rocket launcher. The Major, a seasoned veteran of many years on the battlefield, though not as formidable as Liu Yizhen, instantly aimed at the enemy. Without hesitation, he pulled the trigger. With a bang, the enemy was headshot instantly. The rocket that had just been prepared to launch exploded in place, creating a towering inferno. The enemy suffered heavy casualties. Speaking in an incomprehensible language, the Major's group noticed the enemy had stopped fighting and watched silently. Then the enemy slowly retreated. Watching the enemy leave, the Major's team had no intention of pursuing. Able to catch his breath, the Major asked his subordinates to report the current situation. The good news was there were no additional casualties. The bad news was they were almost out of ammunition. If there was another engagement, they wouldn't hold up. The distance to the next outpost was still 7.5 kilometers, with 3 hours and 20 minutes left. The Major's team had to reach there with the wounded and civilians within 3 hours and 20 minutes, and through a forest too. The time was extremely tight. Damn, those guys always retreat once they have casualties, then come right back. Always the same pattern, never directly engaging. Just mentioning this made the Major grit his teeth, thinking, from the beginning, they've been using this method to wear down our combat effectiveness, and they seem indifferent to their own casualties. Their actions are very predictable. The soldiers fighting us have poor equipment and combat skills, but their tactics are peculiar. At first, I thought the enemy's tactics were haphazard, but after several engagements, I gradually discovered some patterns. To avoid them, we had to move to Outpost 1. After constant fighting, we retreated to Outpost 2, where we encountered the same situation. The enemy seems to know our movement routes perfectly, staying close on our heels. In our current state, holding Outpost 3 and waiting for the rescue team is our last chance. No matter what, we must get those few people back home. On the enemy's side, they were discussing. Judging by their route, they're currently moving toward the anticipated area. We've already positioned forces there. The enemy leader displayed a victor's smile. That's for sure. There aren't many places they can escape to from here. Suddenly, a thug rushed in, angrily questioning, "How long do my men have to go die? We can't finish them off at once. My men keep dying and then retreating." The enemy leader gave him a fierce look. The thug was startled. They're battle-hardened special forces. If guys like you rush in without strategy, the losses would be much greater than now. You'd not only lose manpower, but also the territory you control. But there's no point explaining this to you now. The thug wanted to ask what he meant by that last sentence, but with a bang, he was headshot before he could finish speaking. It was one of the enemy leader's subordinates who fired. Then the enemy leader walked out of the tent. Outside, the thug's subordinates had already been taken hostage by the enemy leader's men. The subordinate reported some prey escaped from the trap we set. The enemy leader revealed his signature villain smile. Go after them and deal with those guys. Oh, and before you leave, dispose of these people too. They're useless now. Scene changes to the Major's side. They were now panting heavily. They were only 500 meters away from Outpost 3. The Major ordered his subordinates to slow down from now on and be vigilant about their surroundings. He knew the enemy was familiar with the terrain and had grasped their movement routes, so they likely knew about this outpost. The enemy leader was now sitting in a chair, swinging his legs. This feeling is so good, capturing prey that thinks it can escape, especially when they think they've escaped but realize something's wrong. They must be in despair. Notify the people there the prey is about to arrive. When the Major's team reached the outpost, the scene before them left them stunned. The enemies were all sprawled on the ground. The bodies were still warm. The Major was completely bewildered. What on earth happened here? On the enemy leader's side, he stood up anxiously. What did you say? We can't contact Alpha Team who's in ambush? What about Delta Team following behind them? They're currently pursuing the target, 2,000 meters away. Then quickly notify them not to lose the prey. Never mind, I'll tell them myself. This is Camp. Delta Team, report your current status immediately. The walkie-talkie made a static noise. This is Delta Team, currently engaged in combat with the enemy. What? Who are you fighting with? Not clear yet. Just a moment ago, there was a bang. Before he could finish, the person on the walkie-talkie was shot dead. The enemy leader was stunned. Then he gritted his teeth. Could it be that we are the prey? Meanwhile, the person fighting Delta Team was Liu Yizhen, the man known as the strongest mercenary. The Major had thought Liu Yizhen would appear at the critical moment, but he was already slay the whole audience. Several AKs were continuously firing at Liu Yizhen. The firepower was simply incredible. But none of this could overcome Liu Yizhen. He moved freely through the hail of bullets. The bullets couldn't hit him, and the enemy couldn't find his position. He quickly moved to an excellent sniping position. The enemy was still continuously firing at the position Liu Yizhen had just left. What they didn't know was that Liu Yizhen had already aimed at them. With a bang, one was instantly headshot. In a flash, he quickly aimed at the next one. This way, he took down several enemies in succession. By now, the enemy had discovered Liu Yizhen's position, shouting in an incomprehensible language and pointing in his direction. Before they could fire, they were headshot again. The remaining enemies began to concentrate fire on Liu Yizhen. He quickly hit the ground, then moved positions again. This was how Liu Yizhen used the enemy's inability to track his movements, catching them completely off guard. Meanwhile, on the Major's side, they had also discovered the gunfight where Liu Yizhen was. The location was the path they had just passed through. The Major fell into deep thought. He didn't understand what was happening. Not only had the enemies here been eliminated, but now there was combat on the path they had just traversed. Although they still didn't know the situation, the Major and his team didn't dare act rashly. They could only wait for the rescue team's arrival. Liu Yizhen was still in constant combat. with the enemies mostly killed in one shot. By now, the enemy had realized that there were very few people on Liu Yizhen's side. The strategy of creating confusion by constantly changing attack directions was no longer working. Liu Yizhen keenly noticed that since a while ago, the number of enemies had decreased significantly, even fewer than those he had already taken down. So Liu Yizhen lay on the ground, slowly crawling toward the back. Just as he expected, the enemy, knowing there were few people here, had transferred forces to come around. Currently, he identified 3 men in front, still unclear about Liu Yizhen's position. Liu Yizhen resolutely aimed at them. Without hesitation, he pulled the trigger. The 3 enemies were instantly killed. Time passed minute by minute, the sun slowly rising. The Major's team remained vigilant, watching their surroundings. A subordinate received notification that the rescue team was about to arrive. Several civilians hearing this good news couldn't help but sigh in relief, but the Major didn't dare relax. He remained alert to what lay ahead. Because it had been a while since the gunfire stopped, he felt a bit uneasy. Suddenly, the walkie-talkie made a static noise. "This is Mercenary Jin. We'll rendezvous in 3 minutes." The Major's team thought they had misheard. A subordinate uncertainly asked the Major, Mercenary Jin should be Yizhen, right? The Major didn't answer him, thinking, could it be that the person who dealt with the enemies here and caused the battle in the rear was all Yizhen? Just then, the Major saw a figure appear in front. The figure slowly approached with both hands raised. The Major used his scope to look closer. The person really was Liu Yizhen. The Major was stunned, unable to believe his eyes. That guy is really Yizhen. What? It's Yizhen. It really is him. How did he get here? At that moment, the rescue team's helicopter also arrived. The Major ran towards Liu Yizhen, grabbing his clothes, shouting angrily, "Are you crazy? Why did you come here?" Liu Yizhen answered, "I know this terrain better than you do. You kid, do you think you're still the same as before?" Liu Yizhen said with absolute seriousness, "When I heard you and your troops were in danger, I would have regretted it for life if I hadn't come." The Major paused, looking at Liu Yizhen's sincere eyes, then embraced Liu Yizhen, tears of emotion flowing freely. "You brat. You actually dared to come here alone." Shortly after, the enemy leader arrived at the place where the Delta team had been fighting. A subordinate reported to him, "Alpha team has been completely wiped out. Delta team had 20 men total, with 17 casualties." Although further investigation was needed, what they knew now was that Alpha team had been eliminated before they could fight back, while Delta team claimed they were attacked while on the move. And on the enemy side, apart from having fewer troops, there were no other findings. The enemy leader gnashed his teeth in frustration, unable to understand what had gone wrong. The prey had been moving exactly along his predicted route, and there was no reinforcement nearby. They should have been able to eliminate them in one strike by simply waiting. But how exactly did they manage to annihilate Alpha team and then deliver a devastating blow to Delta team that followed? Suddenly, the enemy leader felt a sharp pain in his left eye. This style of combat reminded him of someone. Could it be the mercenary codenamed 001? This fighting method had been demonstrated by 001 before, but 001 had supposedly been gone for several years. The enemy leader ordered his subordinates, reinvestigate everything, analyze the current situation assuming that guy is still alive. After rescuing his former teammate, Liu Yizhen returned to his ordinary life, attending security team training as usual. Gao Shiju deliberately tried to beat Liu Yizhen, whether in running, or climbing, or obstacle training. He couldn't win against Liu Yizhen in any event. In everyone's eyes, Liu Yizhen was a monster. When training ended, everyone else was bent over catching their breath, while Liu Yizhen seemed completely at ease. When changing clothes, Gao Shiju noticed Liu Yizhen's arm was injured. "Your arm?" Liu Yizhen showed no concern. "It's nothing." Then he put on his jacket. Gao Shiju thought, how deep must the wound be to bleed through like that? Despite such a serious injury, he still came in first during training. Finally, he couldn't help but express his thoughts to Liu Yizhen. "Every time I see you, I feel like a frog in a well. Although I don't know much about you, one thing is clear. Whether it's your performance with Miss Shenyang or before, or during our first sparring session, or even these recent basic training exercises, they all prove you've received equivalent training. All my life I've been called a genius. But after meeting you, I realized there are always people better than you out there. But even so, I don't plan on losing to you on the training field." Liu Yizhen was already accustomed to such words. "I understand how you feel. After all, we're the same age, and your desire to compete with me makes sense. Though you've been a security guard for Shenyang since childhood, you've always been trained as an assistant. Supporting others is something I can't do, and don't know how to do. We simply excel in different areas." Watching Liu Yizhen's back, though Gao Shiju felt his words made sense, he still caught up to him. "Then I also don't plan on losing to you in training or sparring." The two walked out of the locker room, where Shenyang was waiting outside. "Good work, Yizhen. Did something happen recently? Why haven't you been coming to school?" Liu Yizhen told her he'd run into some issues. Suddenly, Liu Yizhen's phone rang. It was the Major calling. "Yizhen, Guangji surgery is complete. They said the surgery was successful. Now you can stop worrying." If he had stayed there even a moment longer, Guangji would have been in mortal danger. "He survived thanks to you. Yizhen, thank you. If not for you, not only Guangji but all of us would have been in danger. The other guys are grateful too." The phone suddenly became noisy on the other end. "However, I hope you won't appear on the battlefield again. Though I'm not in a position to say this now, I still need to say it. You have family now, unlike before, you understand?" So, before the Major could finish, Liu Yizhen interrupted. "I was able to find my family thanks to your help. I believe my return to that place was worthwhile." On the other end of the phone, the Major covered his eyes. "Thank you for saying that. I'll contact you again soon. Nearby, Shen Yaner silently watched Lu Yizhen. Becoming so absorbed, she fell into a trance. When she realized it, she was startled. Lu Yizhen looked at her strangely, thinking something was wrong. Then Shen Yaner asked if he was heading home early. Lu Yizhen informed her he was going to an internet cafe. Shen Yaner immediately said she wanted to go too. And so, the three arrived at the internet cafe. But seeing the scene before them, all three were stunned. The place was a mess, with chairs and computers scattered and broken everywhere. Gao Shiju asked the owner what had happened. The owner sighed helplessly. Don't even ask. Some students wearing the same uniforms as yours were playing games when students from another school showed up and started fighting without warning. Meanwhile, Ying Can was running desperately. He eventually hid in an alley, with several people chasing him. Damn it, where did that punk go? Find him! Ying Can was terrified, thinking, what should I do? Apparently the people from last time had come for revenge, and this time they had brought many more. Ziying and Xian Zhen had gotten into a fight with them, telling Ying Can to run. They also told him not to tell Lu Yizhen about this. Now Ying Can was huddled with his head in his hands, trembling. There are too many people from Gaoxi Industrial School. Those two will have a hard time. Suddenly a phone ring startled him. Looking carefully, it was a call from Lu Yizhen. Lu Yizhen found Ying Can and learned what had happened. While Ying Can and the others were playing games, students from Gaoxi Industrial suddenly charged in because of last time's incident. But Ziying and the others took them all down. Then someone called Xiu Rentian appeared, the right-hand man of Gaoxi Industrial School's leader, and suggested they go outside to settle things. So the three of them followed him out, only to find more than 20 others waiting. Then Ziying and Xian Zhen said Ying Can was getting in their way. They told him to run quickly and not to tell Lu Yizhen. Now Ying Can felt extremely guilty, believing it was all his fault. If Ziying hadn't helped him when he was bullied by Gaoxi Industrial students last time, this wouldn't have happened. Lu Yizhen wasn't good at comforting people. He didn't speak, choosing silence instead. Finally, he asked Ying Can where he last saw the two. After learning the location, Lu Yizhen prepared to go. Are you going to find them? Of course. Watching Liu Yizhen's back, Ying Can thought, even Yizhen couldn't beat 20 people, right? And Gaoxi Industrial School was notorious for its delinquents, with many students joining gangs after graduation. He thought about playing games with Ziying and the others, how they ate ramen together when hungry, how they basically spent every day together. He clenched his fists. Catching up to Lu Yizhen, I want to go too. Watching the two leave, the crew cut guy said to Gao Shiju, aren't you going with them? You said you're classmates, right? Gao Shiju, don't get it wrong. No matter how long you hang out with us, you're just a student like them. Gao Shiju didn't immediately answer the crew cut guy's question, silently watching Lu Yizhen and Ying Can. Finally, he smiled. Then, I'll excuse myself. I'll be right back. Shen Yaner suddenly felt Gao Shiju seemed different from before. She wanted to follow too, but before she could finish speaking, the crew cut guy refused. No way. It would be troublesome if you got caught up in controversy. Leave this to those two. Shen Yaner looked at the crew cut guy with dissatisfaction, then turned her head away. Teach. The crew cut guy's face turned purple with bewilderment. Finally, the three arrived at their destination, but the people were gone, leaving only bloodstains everywhere. Ying Can thought Ziying and the others had escaped. Gao Shiju shattered his guess, picking up a phone from the ground. No, they must have been taken away. These two phones were dropped in the same place, and the screens were crushed. It was deliberate. Just as Liu Yizhen and the others were wondering what to do, several people approached from behind. They were students from Gaoxi Industrial. That's the kid who ran away earlier, right? They slowly walked toward the three. Hey, you little punk. Do you know how much trouble we went through to find you? Didn't expect you'd bring friends back with you? How stupid, ha ha ha. Liu Yizhen walked straight toward them. A small punk swung his fist recklessly, still yelling. Such a weak punch posed no threat to Liu Yizhen, who easily blocked it. Then the punk took a punch straight to the face. The punks were truly brave, still daring to charge. Without any suspense, they were quickly disposed of. It was a one-sided slaughter. Gao Shiju did the same, taking down opponents with single punches. In an instant, 4 people were beaten to the ground, unable to stand up again. Even Ying Can hadn't reacted to how quickly the fight ended. Liu Yizhen squatted down to interrogate them. Where did you take the two who were fighting here? Liu Yizhen stared at him with cold eyes. The small punk defiantly gave Liu Yizhen the middle finger. Little punk, don't expect me to tell you. The next moment, he was slammed to the ground by Liu Yizhen and lost consciousness. Seeing Liu Yizhen's actions, Ying Can trembled with fear. You just smashed his face into the ground. Gao Shiju realized Liu Yizhen wasn't good at this. Let me handle the questioning from here. Meanwhile, at a recreational clubhouse, Ziying and Xian Zhen, covered in injuries, were kneeling on the ground. In front of them, wielding a baseball bat and beating someone, was Gaoxi Industrial School's leader, Chi Taishu. A subordinate approached. Boss, we've got them. Hearing this, he finally stopped. He threw the bat on the ground, and the person on the floor was barely recognizable. He raised his hand, asking a subordinate to bring him a cigarette. Sitting on the sofa with his legs crossed, exuding a boss's aura, he was very angry, because last time his subordinates, more than 10 people, were beaten by Liu Yizhen and the others, and the organization found out. They questioned Chi Taishu's abilities. wondering whether to recruit him into the organization after graduation. Rentian, can you imagine how embarrassed I was in front of the big brothers? The subordinate was covered in cold sweat and dared not speak. To be taken down by such weak kids, truly embarrassing. You two, tell me who the others are. Ziying showed no fear at all, glaring fiercely at the opponent. Why should I tell you? He was immediately kicked and savagely beaten. Until Chi Taishu said stop, they finally stopped. Well then, whoever speaks first gets to leave. The one who speaks later will have to hang around with us, running errands and such. Trying to escape is useless, we'll find you even at your school. In other words, your life will be miserable from now on. Surprisingly, both Ziying and Xianzhen were loyal, and they certainly wouldn't betray their brother. So Chi Taishu's little trick only made them laugh. What nonsense. Watched too many movies? Really funny, ha ha ha. Being ridiculed like this, Chi Taishu's face darkened. Even the subordinates nearby were scared purple-faced. He grabbed the baseball bat and charged at Ziying and Xianzhen. You punks. 1, 2, 3 strikes, swinging the bat continuously. The subordinates watched nervously and whispered, should we stop him? This could get serious. Until a voice came from the entrance. Only then did Chi Taishu stop. What was that sound? It was the screams of the guards at the door. Everyone looked toward the entrance. The newcomers were Lu Yizhen and the others who had come searching. Chi Taishu thought the subordinates outside were slacking off. How did these guys get in? Are those guys outside all slacking off? Ying Kan looked worried, because he saw Ziying and Xianzhen lying on the ground, both unconscious. The subordinates recognized Ying Kan as the one who ran away earlier and began to mock him. Running so fast, didn't expect you'd go fetch help, huh? Oh my, you brought friends? I'm so scared, ha ha ha. Seeing so many opponents, Ying Kan was too scared to speak, thinking, how many of them are there? Chi Taishu threw the bat on the ground. Sitting back on the sofa, I really attract all kinds of trouble. To think some punk would come looking for me with such arrogance. Hey, what are you all standing around for? Getting the order, the subordinates picked up weapons and walked toward Lu Yizhen and the others. But they had no idea what kind of existence they were facing. In the blink of an eye, several punks were taken down. Everyone was stunned, unable to process what had happened. 4 people instantly floored. Chi Taishu was also shocked. Lu Yizhen and Gao Shiju put down their bags, preparing to stretch some muscles with the people present. Seeing that Lu Yizhen and Gao Shiju weren't taking them seriously, the punks were enraged. What are you all standing around for? Get them! A crowd of people rushed forward with weapons. Damn it, attack together. But before the strongest mercenary, no matter how many there were, it made no difference. The punks couldn't even touch Lu Yizhen's hem, and once they were hit with a punch, they could no longer stand up. Ying Kan watched in amazement. Though Gao Shiju wasn't as good as Liu Yizhen, these small fry were no match for him. Even if accidentally caught by someone, he could still nimbly take down enemies with his feet. Breaking free was simple, and Gao Shiju was hard-headed. Then he grabbed the opponent's arm, executing a perfect shoulder throw. Seeing Liu Yizhen and Gao Shiju so fierce, Chi Taishu froze. Even the cigarette fell from his mouth. And so, screams continued to echo. Moments later, punks lay everywhere on the ground, while Lu Yizhen and Gao Shiju didn't even have a scratch, just slightly rapid breathing. Looking at Lu Yizhen's cold eyes, Chi Taishu was terrified, unable to believe that more than 30 people had been taken down by just 2. Liu Yizhen slowly walked toward him. The remaining subordinate didn't dare block him and kept backing away. Fortunately, Liu Yizhen didn't attack him, but that didn't mean Gao Shiju wouldn't. Before he could react, he was knocked out with 1 punch. Chi Taishu was terrified, picking up a baseball bat and standing up, thinking, what kind of background do these kids have? Watching Liu Yizhen slowly approach, he started to reassure himself, this kid is clearly tired. Good, come a little closer. Chi Taishu frowned, ready to swing the bat, but Liu Yizhen interrupted him. Unexpectedly, his throat was struck. He kept coughing. Then Liu Yizhen grabbed his head, using his knee to smash it hard, causing a nosebleed. But surprisingly, he didn't pass out, thinking, how could I possibly be taken down by an ordinary student? If others found out, where would I put my face as a boss? So once started, one must carry the thing through. Without thinking twice, he pulled out a knife and stabbed at Liu Yizhen, but he had no idea how terrifying the man before him was. Liu Yizhen grabbed his arm, applied force and crack. It broke. Chi Taishu screamed in agony. Then Liu Yizhen executed a shoulder throw, smashing him to the ground. Chi Taishu passed out and didn't move again. The fight was over, and Ziying and Xianzhen regained consciousness. Ying Kan approached them, very concerned. Are you guys okay? Xianzhen shakily replied, do I look okay to you? Ziying struggled to call out to Liu Yizhen. Liu Yizhen looked at him curiously. He gave a thumbs up. In the real world, you're the king, even if you're bronze in the game. The 3 were completely speechless, wondering what he was going on about. The organization's boss, upon learning that Chi Taishu had been beaten by a student, was furious. Faced with the boss's questioning, his face turned purple with fear and could only say sorry. The result was a beating. You think sorry is enough? Do you know what time it is now? Everyone is taking advantage of Kosung faction and Song-So faction's collapse to expand their influence. Yet you've brought disgrace to our organization, you bastard, damn. Only when the boss said to stop did Chi Taishu avoid being beaten to death. The boss was quite helpless. After all, Chi Taishu was one of their own, and this matter couldn't be ignored. So he decided to send people to capture Liu Yizhen and the others, with each losing at least an arm or a leg. Although they were just kids, since they'd offended his people, they needed to learn a lesson. Shortly after, Shen Yan'er and Gao Shiju were on their way home, but they were found by the punks, who surrounded them. Didn't expect to find you so quickly. Sorry to interrupt your date, but you'll have to come with the big brothers. The next second, they were surrounded by several luxury cars. Security guards in suits and ties stepped out. The tables turned too quickly, and the punks had no idea what was happening. The crew cut guy grabbed a punk's head with a murderous look. These punks were in for trouble. Meanwhile, at the punks' headquarters, they had already been taken down by the boss's people. The boss walked in with great presence. The punk's leader looked up and was shocked to see Carduji. He really couldn't understand why Carduji would target him. But he didn't dare act rashly, because Carduji was the boss of the strongest gang, asking if there was some misunderstanding. The boss slowly exhaled smoke. Q1. Let children resolve children's disputes among themselves. Getting adults involved isn't that embarrassing? What children's disputes? What are you talking about? Suddenly he seemed to realize something. Are you talking about that student? The boss was super charismatic. Since you decided to involve adults, then it's only right that adults from our side get involved too, isn't it? Meanwhile, Lu Yizhen was watching his sister eat ramen at a convenience store. Suddenly the boss called, asking what he was doing. Lu Yizhen told him he was eating a triangle rice ball. The boss said, "You're still growing. How can you eat that? Let's meet and have Korean barbecue every day. My treat." Lu Yizhen declined, saying it would be a burden. He suggested just treating him to convenience store noodles would be fine, as he couldn't accept expensive meals. The boss was surprised, then smiled with appreciation. "All right, we'll have bowl noodles next time." After hanging up, the camera panned out to show the punks kneeling on the ground, subdued. That day, Liu Yizhen was returning home from the supermarket with his sister and grandfather. Suddenly, Liu Yizhen noticed a figure. The person stood quietly under a streetlight, silently watching Liu Yizhen. Long time no see, 001. Liu Yizhen's heart sank. Memories flooded back of training with this man, carrying out missions together, until his sister's call of brother brought him back to reality. His grandfather asked what was wrong. "Do you know that person?" Liu Yizhen answered, "Yes, he was once my comrade." The long-haired man slowly approached. His grandfather and sister greeted him warmly. The long-haired man did the same, but Liu Yizhen looked at him with cold eyes. The man looked at Liu Yizhen the same way. His grandfather invited him to come home for dinner. He declined, saying he was just in the area for some business. "All right then, we'll go ahead. You two can talk for a while." After his sister and grandfather had walked away, the long-haired man got straight to the point. "Announcing yourself dead to the world, yet here you are living a leisurely life." Liu Yizhen still looked at him coldly. 006, how did you find me? The long-haired man lit a cigarette and explained, "I learned from headquarters that you were still alive, so I started looking for you. Don't be so vigilant with me. Headquarters hasn't found you yet. I was executing a mission nearby. Heard headquarters was looking for you, and found you before they did. It took me a lot of effort. But headquarters will find you soon and probably order me to eliminate you." Liu Yizhen eyed him warily. "I said don't be so vigilant. Today I'm just here to see a former colleague." Suddenly the long-haired man's stomach growled. 001, got anything to eat? I haven't had time for food while looking for you. So Liu Yizhen took 006 to eat his favorite instant noodles and triangle rice balls. The two chatted casually. Suddenly Liu Yizhen's eyes turned cold. 006, if headquarters hasn't found me yet, how exactly did you find me? 006 matched Liu Yizhen's intensity. Because I knew you were still alive, and who would know you better than me? Then they resumed casual chat. "Have you recovered your memories?" "Yes." "That's good. I wonder how 032 would react if he knew you were alive. That kid was devastated when he thought you died." Liu Yizhen was surprised you didn't tell 032. "I figured you might guess I was still alive, but I didn't expect you wouldn't report it to higher-ups." 006 chuckled, "Because I didn't expect I would do that either. After careful consideration, perhaps it's because I've been conditioned to obey headquarters since childhood, I've come to see you as my kind. That mercenary who gained some fame a few years ago, codenamed Truth, that was you, wasn't it?" Liu Yizhen didn't speak, but clearly confirmed it. 006 sighed, "I knew it. But Mercenary Truth's operating area doesn't overlap with headquarters territory." Suddenly he crushed the can in his hand. Seriously questioning, if that's the case, then why not remain off headquarters radar until death? Liu Yizhen looked helpless, indicating he had no choice at the time. 006 looked at Liu Yizhen's helpless expression, something he'd never seen before. "Since you recovered your memories, your whole demeanor has changed. Or is it living in this place that changed you? I don't know if that's good or bad." Just then, a phone call came through. After answering, 006 didn't speak. He just listened to the person on the other end who said something unknown. Moments later, he hung up. Acting as if nothing had happened, he put the phone back in his pocket. Suddenly, he took the chopsticks from the instant noodles, forcefully breaking them into points, then viciously thrust them toward Liu Yizhen's eyes all in an instant. Liu Yizhen's reaction was equally swift. immediately grabbing his hand. The chopstick stopped 0.1 centimeters from his eye. Before Liu Yizhen could respond, 006 Feet's right hand grabbed another chopstick and stabbed toward Liu Yizhen's major artery, every attack targeting vital points. Fortunately, Liu Yizhen blocked this one too, and they remained deadlocked. Sorry, I only planned to see you today, but headquarters detected us faster than I expected. They ordered me to eliminate you. Liu Yizhen said, that can't be helped. The two remained locked in position, until the convenience store door chimed and a girl walked out. The girl looked at them, and like magic, they appeared to be sorting garbage. After organizing the trash, they even separated it for recycling. 006 sighed helplessly. This place isn't suitable for completing the mission. Then he prepared to leave. By the way, 001, personally, I think you're much better now than before. Liu Yizhen didn't speak, silently watching 006 depart. Meanwhile, Gao Shiju was exercising. Suddenly his phone rang. Looking carefully, it was Liu Yizhen calling. Liu Yizhen skipped pleasantries and got straight to the point. I need your help with something. Can you retrieve surveillance footage from a specific location? And I hope you can help me track someone's movements in real time. Gao Shiju didn't understand what Liu Yizhen wanted to do. Saying such things required authorization from superiors and would take time, especially tracking someone. But halfway through speaking, he stopped, perhaps sensing something was off in Liu Yizhen's tone, then seriously asked, when do you need information about his movements? Liu Yizhen answered, right now, immediately, thinking that once 006 started acting, the first in danger would definitely be his grandfather and sister. Liu Yizhen rode the boss's motorcycle, speeding down the highway. Through Gao Shiju's investigation, Liu Yizhen now knew 006 Feet's location and was heading there. Gao Shiju looked exhausted, asking curiously, earlier we had someone follow the person you mentioned. His behavior is suspicious. He's very aware of surveillance camera positions and his movements are irregular. Tracking him is troublesome. There's only one reason he'd do this, to hide his movement patterns. What exactly happened? Liu Yizhen replied simply, some personal matters, then hung up. Gao Shiju was speechless. I know it's personal. He thought, something must have happened, asking specifically about the person's intermediate route, probably to save time by acting ahead. The person being tracked is a foreigner, not from S country. I have very little intel on him so far. What exactly happened? Shortly after, Liu Yizhen arrived at a remote suburban area. Not setting up near me, the target, but in the suburbs. Probably just arrived recently. Any delay would be disadvantageous for me trying to protect others. Let's end it here. Meanwhile, 006 was playing with a handgun. He inspected it thoroughly, then loaded bullets into the magazine one by one. Suddenly the phone rang. After answering, the person on the other end spoke first. 006, how did you get to that country so quickly? We just learned that 001 is in that country. 006 said, we trained together for so long, wouldn't I understand him? I happened to be nearby finishing a mission, heard he was still alive and came to see. Since the traitor is still alive, we must eliminate him by any means. The person on the other end was actually Chi Taishu, who had attacked the major. I trust your abilities completely. But still, be careful. After all, we're talking about the one who earned codename 001 Cent. That was a long time ago. Yes, and he's been off the grid for so long. Probably hasn't experienced real combat. I await your good news. With a click, the call ended. 006 looked at his phone, seeming to be pondering something. Suddenly he saw a figure in his phone's reflection. He whipped around. Liu Yizhen was charging toward him. Seeing Liu Yizhen's murderous gaze, 006 hurriedly grabbed the gun from the table, turning to fire, but it was too late. Liu Yizhen tackled him. With a thud, he was pushed to the ground, dropping his gun. Both quickly distanced themselves, eyeing each other. 006 was certain Liu Yizhen hadn't tracked him here. He felt helpless. There were more surveillance cameras than expected. It still ended up like this. Though I expected you'd find me quickly, this is too fast. We just parted and you've already found me. Liu Yizhen maintained his cold stare, ignoring 006, still as talkative as ever. As he finished speaking, they engaged in hand-to-hand combat. The fight was intense, evenly matched, until 006 threw a punch that Liu Yizhen blocked. Liu Yizhen countered with his own punch, which was dodged. No problem. The punch became an elbow strike, catching 006 off guard. Liu Yizhen pressed his advantage with a kick. Surprisingly, 006 caught his leg. A slicing sound, a knife cutting through flesh. 006 had pulled out a knife from somewhere, wounding Liu Yizhen's thigh. As expected of mercenary truth, your skills have improved a lot since then. After saying this, 006 charged at Liu Yizhen again. They started fighting again. Perhaps due to his injured thigh, Liu Yizhen accidentally took another knife wound, though fortunately he quickly grabbed 006 Feet's hand, preventing the blade from going too deep. 006 threw another punch, which Liu Yizhen dodged by ducking. Then he forcefully twisted 006 Feet's knife-wielding hand. Pain surged through his body. With a clang, the knife fell to the ground. 006 kicked Liu Yizhen away, then quickly tried to grab the fallen gun nearby. As he prepared to fire, a flying knife came into his view. The knife struck firmly into his arm. but he still endured the pain, aiming the gun at Liu Yizhen. Bang bang bang, he fired several shots. Liu Yizhen dodged them all, perhaps because 006 feet's arm injury prevented him from aiming properly, until the bullets ran out. 006 cursed through gritted teeth, damn it, then turned to grab the leather case that had fallen to the ground. He was actually trying to escape. Liu Yizhen would absolutely not let him go. Although the wound on his leg caused him excruciating pain, he had to endure it and give chase. But when Liu Yizhen ran outside, 006 was already on his motorcycle ready to flee. Liu Yizhen's eyes filled with despair, as if seeing his grandfather and sister suffering consequences because of him. Suddenly, a loud crash. A car slammed into 006, sending him flying. 006 rolled over the car roof, finally crashing to the ground unconscious. The driver turned out to be Gao Shiju, who looked bewildered. Did I just meddle in something I shouldn't have? The twist came too quickly. Liu Yizhen paused for a moment, then answered, no. Gao Shiju stared at his handiwork. Did I hit him too hard? He's not dead, is he? Faced with Gao Shiju's eager help, Liu Yizhen didn't even say thank you, instead telling him to leave quickly. Gao Shiju was treated like a tool, used and discarded. On the road, Gao Shiju kept wondering what had happened. According to his investigation, the man Yizhen was following was just an ordinary tourist. Could the truth be different? Though now he wondered how to explain the damaged car. Meanwhile, 006 was tied to a chair by Liu Yizhen. Wake up now, I know you're already conscious. 006 chuckled and spoke. I didn't expect you had an accomplice. I should have anticipated this when you were close to finding me. 001 didn't expect you'd work with others. That was my miscalculation. Liu Yizhen stared at him coldly, not explaining the circumstances. Instead, he asked who else had received orders to eliminate him. 006 didn't beat around the bush, revealing everything he knew. Though I can't be completely certain. At least for now, there shouldn't be anyone else besides me. After all, I was closest, and the timing worked out. The more people who know you're still alive, the more inconvenient it becomes for headquarters. They don't want others to know they mistakenly thought you'd been dead for years, so they plan to quietly eliminate you. Because of you, headquarters suffered heavy losses. Especially that guy, the enemy leader, he's particularly eager about getting rid of you. That's all I can tell you. I've been straightforward out of respect for you, said everything I know. Go ahead, you can do it now. 006 closed his eyes, quietly waiting for death, thinking it wouldn't be so bad to die at 001 Foot's hands rather than some unknown person's. But after waiting a while with nothing happening, he wondered why 001 was being so hesitant. So he slowly opened his eyes, only to witness an unbelievable sight. Liu Yizhen was untying him. 006 asked what he was doing, why he wasn't killing him. Liu Yizhen continued untying him while saying, why would I kill you? You have reasons to stay alive. I understand somewhat why you can't leave headquarters. 006, you're a dead man now. Go live somewhere headquarters can't find you. 006 frowned, still hesitant, worried that if headquarters discovered he was alive, 032 would be in danger. Liu Yizhen directly dismissed his concerns. 032 would support your decision. Besides, it's better than dying here. 006 limped past Liu Yizhen, then paused. 001, if you continue like this, your family will be in danger. They'll definitely use your family to eliminate you. Liu Yizhen indicated he was aware. If your target had been my family instead of me, the outcome would be different. Even so, I still want to maintain this life as much as I can. 006 said that before disappearing, he would spread some false information about Liu Yizhen. Then he asked Liu Yizhen for his name. Liu Yizhen told him, my name is Liu Yizhen, and 006 told Liu Yizhen his name too. I'm Liang. They had known each other for 10 years, and only on this day did they finally learn each other's names. Liu Yizhen returned home very late. He'd been as careful as possible, but his grandfather still heard him. Grandfather poked his head out of the room. Yizhen, you're back. Liu Yizhen covered the wound on his shoulder, afraid his grandfather would see it. You're not asleep yet? Grandfather explained he couldn't sleep now, saying he'd only feel at ease after Yizhen returned. You must be tired too. Wash up and rest early. After saying this, grandfather returned to his room. Right after, his sister also poked her head out from her room. Brother, he's been worried about you until now. There's dinner left for you on the table. Eat if you want to. Liu Yizhen smiled and said, I know. His sister went back to her room, looking at the table full of food left for him. Liu Yizhen once again felt the warmth of having a family. Meanwhile, Gao Shiju's phone received a text message. He picked up his phone to look. It was a message from Liu Yizhen containing just two simple words, thank you. Yet these words somehow made Gao Shiju blush with embarrassment. After school, Yizhen's sister was on her way home. A small punk approached her to chat her up. He asked for her contact information, saying he wanted to be friends. She politely refused. The punk frowned, his expression turning sour, until a companion walking slowly nearby mocked him. The punk felt humiliated and revealed his vicious side. I'm not asking you to date me, what's wrong with just giving me your contact info? Suddenly someone tapped the back of his head. It was Ziying and his two friends. Idiot. Can't you see she doesn't want to? The punk turned around aggressively. Who the fuck are you? But Ziying tapped him again. It's me. What are you going to do about it, stinky boy? When the punk's friend tried to help, Xianzhen glared at him, and he instantly backed down. The punk had no choice but to leave, then went to call for backup. A moment later, the punk actually brought Chi Taishu back. It turned out they were brothers. Chi Taishu had been in a terrible mood lately. Damn, I'm going crazy. Now everyone thinks they can mess with our high city industrial school. His little brother agreed. Recently it seems word has gotten out. We need to teach them a lesson. Of course, I want to make everyone see clearly what kind of place our high city industrial school really is. At this moment, the punk pointed ahead, found them. Chi Taishu saw a familiar figure. His expression instantly froze when he clearly saw Liu Yizhen's handsome profile. Chi Taishu became terrified. The person who had been beaten up by Liu Yizhen was immediately alarmed. The punk noticed Chi Taishu's strange behavior, and Chi Taishu asked if he got into trouble for hitting on the girl next to that guy. After receiving confirmation, Chi Taishu slapped the back of the punk's head hard. Damn it, are you deliberately causing trouble for me? The punk held his head, confused. In the end, he was beaten up badly by the group. Truly a pitiful sight. The next day at school, Ziying and his friends told Liu Yizhen about his sister being approached. When Gao Xinyu and Liu Yizhen learned the guy was from High City Industrial School, both looked grave, feeling it was too coincidental. Shen Yanner suddenly appeared and sighed. I really don't understand you guys. It's normal to chat someone up when passing by. Doyen is already popular because she's pretty. Everyone agreed, all thinking that his sister was pretty. Regarding his sister being beautiful, Liu Yizhen cupped his chin in deep thought. Ziying and the others were completely speechless. Is this something that needs careful consideration? Gao Xinyu spoke again, but we still need to confirm. Liu Yizhen nodded seriously, agreeing with Gao Xinyu. There's no training today, let's go confirm after school. Liu Yizhen nodded again, agreeing with Gao Xinyu's idea while Shen Yanner and the other four were covered in black lines. Hey, are you even listening to us? That evening, Chi Taishu and his group were discussing fighting with neighboring gangs. Suddenly, Gao Xinyu and Liu Yizhen walked in with murderous intent. They naturally made way, letting Liu Yizhen walk up to Chi Taishu. Chi Taishu was terrified now, wondering why he had come here. Liu Yizhen demanded, I heard you approached my sister? Chi Taishu was stunned. What are you talking about? Why would we approach your sister? Suddenly he remembered yesterday's incident. Was that child your sister? Liu Yizhen's face immediately darkened, leaking murderous intent. Gao Xinyu was the same. Chi Taishu panicked, explaining incoherently. Wait, we didn't approach her because she's your sister. I just heard from my brother that he tried talking to a pretty girl on the street, and I'm only finding out now that she's your sister. We had no other intention. Now that I know she's your sister, I'll tell my brother to stay away from her. Liu Yizhen's death-like gaze warned him. Chi Taishu was dripping with cold sweat. Fortunately, Liu Yizhen and his friend didn't beat him up and simply left. Chi Taishu was so intimidated by Liu Yizhen's aura that he decided to postpone the fight with the neighboring gangs. Outside, Shen Yanner said that Liu Yizhen was overthinking things. And Xinyu, why are you making such a big deal of this too? But Liu Yizhen and his friend clearly hadn't listened. I've decided to observe them for a while. We can't just take their word for it. Today, Liu Yizhen was training with the security team as usual. Nearby, Shen Jiyun was discussing Liu Yizhen with the captain. He's not as eye-catching as the first time, is he? Do you think that time when he took down Team 2 was just a coincidence? The captain frowned. No, I feel like he's deliberately trying not to draw attention. Although he's controlling himself, his athletic ability and reflexes are stronger than our security guards. His combat experience also seems more extensive. Judging from his athletic ability and the strength shown in that sparring match, he must have received long-term professional training. He doesn't complain at all about the high-intensity training, and maybe because he's young, the team members really like him. Looking at Liu Yizhen, Shen Jiyun recalled her last date with the major. The major had asked if she was still investigating Liu Yizhen, pretending to be unconcerned but with such bad acting. Shen Jiyun immediately spotted something fishy. When the major learned that Shen Jiyun had stopped investigating, his expression immediately relaxed. Shen Jiyun was certain that Liu Yizhen knew her fiancé. After training, Liu Yizhen followed Shen Jiyun for security team work just like last time. Are you really not considering joining the entertainment industry? They say our company will strongly promote you. But Liu Yizhen refused without a second thought. Seeing Liu Yizhen's attitude, Shen Jiyun thought, when someone gives you a suggestion, at least consider it. Don't completely shut down the opportunity. Then she asked, do you know Major Zhang Hanchen? He's my fiancé. Liu Yizhen froze for a moment, then turned to look at Shen Jiyun. A drop of sweat unconsciously ran down his face. Seeing Liu Yizhen's reaction, Shen Jiyun became more certain that Liu Yizhen and the major knew each other. What was amusing was that after learning Shen Jiyun was the major's fiancé, Liu Yizhen's attitude changed 180 degrees. Even his sitting posture became perfect. Shen Jiyun thought, why did his attitude suddenly change? They soon arrived at their destination. Before work, Shen Jiyun went to the bathroom to touch up her makeup. The security guard stood outside the door. Liu Yizhen and the captain were patrolling outside. Liu Yizhen was still thinking about Shen Jiyun being the major's fiancé. At this time, Shen Jiyun was still applying makeup when a woman walked past her, then went to a nearby sink to wash her hands. Shen Jiyun didn't notice her and was about to leave. Suddenly, the woman covered Shen Jiyun's mouth with a handkerchief, holding her tightly. Shen Jiyun couldn't break free and was eventually drugged unconscious. The security guard at the door was also taken down by another man. By the time other security guards discovered this, the kidnappers had already left. Captain, the vice chairwoman has disappeared. We found the person responsible for protecting the vice chairwoman lying on the ground. The captain immediately gave orders, seal all exits immediately. Check the security footage. Liu Yizhen rushed out without a word, his mind rapidly analyzing the situation from beginning to end. If they took down the security guard and captured the target, they either escaped by car immediately, or they're temporarily hiding in the building, likely planning to escape by car after assessing the situation. In a flash, Liu Yizhen arrived at the underground parking lot. He spotted a figure about to leave by car. Liu Yizhen quickly rushed over, but when he reached the car and looked carefully, there was just an ordinary person inside. At that moment, he heard an urgent roaring sound. Liu Yizhen turned to see a van speeding away. He quickly gave chase and blocked the van's path. Looking closer, a young couple sat in the van. Seeing Liu Yizhen blocking their way, they didn't slow down but accelerated, watching the car rushing straight at him. Liu Yizhen had no choice but to dodge, and the van quickly passed by him. It even drifted, showing truly impressive driving skills. Liu Yizhen chased after it again, reporting the situation to other security guards. Then he took a shortcut, running across other cars. He caught up with the van again, then leapt up with all his might. He precisely grabbed the van's roof, hanging onto the vehicle. When other security guards arrived, it was too late. There was no time to set up a roadblock. The kidnappers saw numerous security guards ahead. They violently stepped on the accelerator. The van moved extremely fast, crashing through. Fortunately, no one was hit. Liu Yizhen was still hanging tightly to the van's roof. The security guards could only watch helplessly as the kidnappers rushed out of the basement. Now the kidnappers drove the car, swaying left and right, trying to shake Liu Yizhen off. Liu Yizhen's hand slipped and he almost fell. At this moment, he remembered what the major had once told him: family is the most important thing in this world. For family, even losing one's life is worth it. Liu Yizhen suddenly gripped the roof more tightly, gritting his teeth, his right hand grabbing the roof again. Then he lifted both feet. With a bang, Liu Yizhen used all his strength, kicking hard at the window. Cracks appeared in the window, one more kick would shatter it. But just then, possibly due to running a red light, a car quickly approached from the other side of the van. With a crash, it hit the van. The impact force sent Liu Yizhen flying. He fell to the ground, rolling several times. The kidnappers in the van weren't hurt at all and quickly drove away. Liu Yizhen's physical condition was truly remarkable. He could still stand up. Anyone else would have been done for. He merely wiped away the blood from his head and chased after the van again. The female kidnapper noticed Liu Yizhen. She looked back and blew him a kiss. There was no way. No matter how fast a person is, they can't outrun a car. Liu Yizhen could only watch as the kidnappers slowly disappeared. He held his right arm, panting heavily. It seemed he had injured his right arm. Just then, the captain drove up, asking Liu Yizhen which way the kidnappers went. Liu Yizhen saw hope again. Without a word, he got into the passenger seat. "What are you getting in for? Get out." Liu Yizhen ignored him, saying, "Let's go quickly." They turned right at the intersection ahead. Because time was of the essence, the captain could only take Liu Yizhen along. He said he'd drop Liu Yizhen off after a while, feeling that Liu Yizhen was just a student, not an official member of the security team. But Liu Yizhen insisted on going along. "I'm an intern with the security team. I'll take responsibility for any consequences. Don't worry." Only then did the captain notice Liu Yizhen's blood-stained head. "And hands, are you all right?" "I'm fine." The captain thought, this kid, the report said he was hanging from the car. He was the first to act and find the vehicle, hanging onto it, and then giving the latest route of the kidnappers. He also saved Miss Yan before. Given his current abilities, he's truly trustworthy. He sighed helplessly. Finally, they arrived at an abandoned factory on the outskirts. The van that the kidnappers had driven was parked at the entrance with 3 figures. Looking closer, it was the kidnappers, with Shen Ji-yun tied to a wheelchair. It seemed there was no time to wait for the support team to arrive, so the captain prepared to go alone, telling Liu Yizhen to stay in the car. When he got out, he was stunned. There weren't just 2 kidnappers, several people got out of the van, each holding knives, slowly walking toward them. The captain gritted his teeth. Just then, Liu Yizhen also got out. "You should leave. Hey, didn't I tell you to stay in the car?" Liu Yizhen looked composed. "The situation is urgent. There's no time to wait for support to arrive, and there are only 2 of us now." The captain warned, "This is different from training. This is real combat." Liu Yizhen's eyes turned cold, killing intent rising. "Real combat is more convenient for me." Seeing Liu Yizhen's determined look, he recalled his analysis with a bald man, both concluding that Liu Yizhen was an old soldier, though it was hard to believe. Looking at Liu Yizhen's back, the captain finally decided to leave this place to Liu Yizhen. The kidnappers naturally wouldn't let the captain leave easily. They picked up weapons to stop him. But Liu Yizhen wasn't just for show. He flashed behind a kidnapper. A heavy blow struck the kidnapper's head and knocked his knife away. Another kidnapper lunged with a knife, but Liu Yizhen ducked, then rolled several times on the ground, picking up the knife dropped by the first kidnapper. Then he took a stance, his movements smooth and fluid. The kidnapper who had taken a blow to the head stood up. How useless. can't even hold onto a knife against a small kid. Does SW really use such young kids as security guards? Hey, do you even know how to use a knife? These kids nowadays watch too many movies. After saying this, he and the other kidnappers turned to chase the captain, thinking one person was enough to handle Liu Yizhen. But they hadn't gone far when a scream came. The kidnapper who stayed behind already had one arm disabled by Liu Yizhen. Another kidnapper saw this and stabbed with his knife. The result was obvious. Anyone playing with knives against Liu Yizhen would be disabled. This kidnapper clutched his arm on the ground in pain. The remaining kidnappers frowned, still not understanding what kind of terrifying existence they faced. Liu Yizhen charged at them without a word. Two kidnappers decided to attack together. But even so, they couldn't harm Liu Yizhen at all. In an instant, they were KO'd. Next, Liu Yizhen rushed toward the remaining kidnapper. Damn it. Liu Yizhen's knife was blocked by the kidnapper. The kidnapper also slashed and counterattacked. Too slow, you can't hurt me. Instead, Liu Yizhen grabbed his knife hand and slashed the kidnapper's abdomen. The kidnapper immediately cried out in pain. Giving him no chance to breathe, Liu Yizhen kicked the back of his knee, making him kneel, then grabbed his head with one hand. A knife at his throat, the kidnapper was too scared to move. Liu Yizhen seemed to be thinking about something. Then he turned the knife around and knocked the kidnapper unconscious with the handle. In less than 5 minutes, 5 experienced kidnappers were all injured or disabled. The kidnapper leader hadn't expected the security team to catch up so quickly. He was preparing to move Shen Ji-yun to the next location. With a bang, the door opened, and the two kidnapper leaders looked back. It was the captain who had caught up. The kidnapper wasn't panicked at all, clearly not taking the captain seriously. Seeing that Shen Ji-yun had been drugged, the captain was furious, you guys, but before he could finish, someone appeared behind him. Fortunately, the captain noticed, or the consequences would have been unthinkable. So the small thug had to attack directly. But the captain's strength was not to be underestimated. He grabbed the thug's knife hand, then countered with a punch. 2 more thugs slowly walked out from behind, all brandishing knives. Without wasting words, they rushed forward. The captain kicked one thug's knife hand, then punched another thug. The other thug stabbed, but the captain dodged, grabbed the thug's hand, then his arm. The movements were fluid, and he threw the thug to the ground. A voice said, "Stop it." The captain looked back, his pupils dilating. The kidnapper was holding a gun to Shen Ji-yun's head. "You'd better not hope we won't kill her. If you cause us any trouble, we'll eliminate her immediately." The captain thought, damn it, not daring to make a move. The kidnapper pointed the gun at the captain. "If you move, this woman dies." The kidnapper looked at the captain sinisterly. Bang! He fired without hesitation, the bullet hitting the captain's shoulder. Pain surged, causing cold sweat to break out on his forehead. "You really didn't move at all." The female kidnapper urged, "Hurry up and finish him, we don't have time." The captain looked at Shen Ji-yun, thinking, "Vice Chairwoman, I'm sorry." Just as the kidnapper slowly pulled the trigger, 2 knives flew in quickly. One knife accurately hit the kidnapper's gun arm. The other knife flew at the female kidnapper, but she dodged it. The person attacking them was Liu Yizhen, who seized the opportunity and ran quickly to Shen Ji-yun. Grabbing the wheelchair handles, he pushed Shen Ji-yun and turned to run. The kidnappers hadn't reacted to what was happening, damn it. They started shooting at Liu Yizhen. Liu Yizhen was unlucky, a bullet hit his shoulder. The captain rushed over, grabbing the kidnapper, pushing him to the ground. Liu Yizhen looked back. The captain shouted, "Don't look back, run!" Liu Yizhen didn't hesitate, pushing Shen Ji-yun out of the warehouse. When Shen Ji-yun woke up, she saw a figure in front of her. Just as she was about to scream, a hand covered her mouth. Liu Yizhen made a gesture for her to be quiet. Only when Shen Ji-yun calmed down did Liu Yizhen release his hand. Shen Ji-yun looked around, not understanding where this was or how she'd been in the bathroom. Suddenly, she felt a sharp pain in her head, and Liu Yizhen explained, "Due to the anesthetic, you might feel slight dizziness. Please don't worry." Hearing this, Shen Ji-yun realized she'd been kidnapped. Liu Yizhen kept thinking of strategies. The biggest problem now is that they have guns, and this is a dead end. Being discovered is just a matter of time. Shen Ji-yun couldn't understand what the kidnapper's purpose was in abducting her. Was it because of the company's recent business expansion? But she had nothing to do with those operations. She really couldn't understand. Then she noticed Liu Yizhen's blood-stained head. "You're injured?" "I'm fine, really?" Looking at Liu Yizhen's head wound, and his shoulder, and arm. Shen Ji-yun really couldn't understand why Liu Yizhen, who wasn't officially part of the security team, would risk so much for her. She even doubted if the man in front of her was really a student. At this moment, the female kidnapper slowly approached. "Come out now. From our position, rather than delaying and getting caught, it's better to eliminate the hostage directly. Further delay just creates trouble for both of us, so come out quickly. At least the hostage can keep her life." Shen Ji-yun stood up, not wanting to cause Liu Yizhen more trouble, feeling that no matter how well-trained Liu Yizhen was, he was still a student. Only if she went out now would things work. But Liu Yizhen stopped her, using gestures to tell her what to do next. Shen Ji-yun understood Liu Yizhen's meaning. Then Liu Yizhen stood up. Raising his hands, he walked out, and the female kidnapper immediately pointed a gun at him. Liu Yizhen's face showed no fear. The female kidnapper revealed a smug expression. "That woman is over there too, right? You really are just a kid." When I saw your face hanging from the car, I thought I was seeing things. Kid, have you watched too many movies, thinking you have a protagonist's halo and absolutely won't die? After saying this, the female kidnapper prepared to shoot. Lu Yizhen's face still showed no change. Just then, Shen Jiyun ran out shouting, "Wait!" The female kidnapper merely turned her eyes to look, but Lu Yizhen seized the opportunity. A knife accurately hit the female kidnapper's gun hand before the female kidnapper could recover. Whoosh! Another knife flew at her, but she dodged it. But Lu Yizhen closed in, knocking her gun away. The female kidnapper's eyes darkened, pulling the knife from her thigh. She slashed fiercely, but Lu Yizhen quickly dodged. Both retreated a step to create distance. The female kidnapper was furious and attacked first. "You damn kid." She kept attacking, and Lu Yizhen kept dodging, but his arm was still cut a few times. The female kidnapper revealed a smug smile, thinking the next strike would finish Lu Yizhen, but he dodged it. Lu Yizhen grabbed her arm, knocking the knife from her hand, then kicked her hard in the abdomen. The female kidnapper was kicked away. She clutched her abdomen in pain but saw the fallen gun just ahead. She reached for it. Lu Yizhen knew this was bad and tried to grab the gun first. The female kidnapper rolled a few times, getting the gun first. She revealed a victor's smile, about to fire. Lu Yizhen reached out with extreme speed, snatching the gun from the female kidnapper's hand, then aiming it at her. The female kidnapper was stunned as everything happened too quickly, thinking what's going on. Meanwhile, Shen Jiyun was also shocked. Looking at the student like Lu Yizhen, the female kidnapper began to mock. "You little punk really watch too many movies. Your fighting isn't bad, but do you really dare to shoot? Since you're a security guard, you must have shot targets before." Before she could finish, bang! Lu Yizhen fired. The bullet hit the female kidnapper's thigh. She thought, damn it, he actually pulled the trigger without hesitation. Then she noticed Lu Yizhen's eyes, unfazed even after shooting someone, as if it were normal. This puzzled her. Suddenly she remembered a pair of eyes that terrified her. "You couldn't be mercenary Jin, could you?" Lu Yizhen didn't answer her question, using the gun to knock her on the head. The female kidnapper finally lost consciousness and passed out. Shen Jiyun witnessed the whole process, utterly shocked. Meanwhile, the captain, the kidnapper with the duck-billed cap, got his gun back. He threatened the captain, "Stop it. I heard you're a security guard. I didn't take you seriously at all. Didn't expect you to actually have some skills. If we hadn't targeted your shift change, today's kidnapping would have been difficult to pull off." The captain clutched his shoulder. "Is this the end? I've delayed as much as possible. I don't know if they escaped successfully, although someone chased after them." Suddenly he remembered Lu Yizhen's back. He smiled, though strangely, he now felt very reassured. The kidnapper frowned at this, which annoyed him. "You're still smiling? If you're reassured because a woman chased after them, you're greatly mistaken. Even if we all attacked together, we couldn't subdue her. And since you've angered her, that kid is probably being tortured to death right now." The smile on the captain's face disappeared, and he gritted his teeth. "That's why I'm so relaxed. Even if she chased after them, by the time I arrive, the outcome should already be decided. So you should worry about yourself." After this pointless talk, the kidnapper prepared to shoot, seeing the captain's gaze full of unwillingness. Suddenly, bang! A bullet shot through the kidnapper's gun hand. The kidnapper clutched his arm in pain. The gun fell to the ground. When the captain looked in the direction of the shot, there was an extremely handsome young man, his eyes icy, his face written with invincibility. The captain couldn't believe it. He never imagined the arrival would be Lu Yizhen. The kidnapper thought the same, not understanding why Lu Yizhen was here or where his companion had gone. Before he could think further, bang! Lu Yizhen fired again, this time hitting his thigh. Then Lu Yizhen's eyes shifted. The gun pointed at the captain. The captain thought Lu Yizhen was going to shoot him. Bang! 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 Several shots. The bullets passed by the captain. The target was actually kidnappers behind the captain who had just gotten up. In an instant, several kidnappers fell to the ground screaming. The captain stood frozen, his heart incredibly shocked. He never imagined Lu Yizhen would fire so unhesitatingly, and each person was taken down with a single bullet. Once again, he remembered the bald man's words, "Punt student is an old soldier." Yes, now he believed it too. The late arriving police could only do the straightforward cleanup work. Medical personnel also came. They asked Shen Jiyun if she was alright. Shen Jiyun said she was fine and told them to check on Lu Yizhen and the captain first. Then medical staff helped Lu Yizhen treat his wounds. Shen Jiyun came over, asking Lu Yizhen how he felt, and Lu Yizhen said he was fine. "With injuries like this, you still say you're fine?" Lu Yizhen answered, "That's right, there's no problem with my body's movement, and for this level of injury, rescuing a kidnapped hostage is already very successful. More importantly, I have a favor to ask you. During my treatment period, my family might worry. I want to tell them I'm participating in security training." Shen Jiyun couldn't understand what Lu Yizhen was thinking. She turned around. "I understand. Go get treated quickly." Suddenly she struggled internally for a moment. She said thank you to Lu Yizhen. At this moment, the captain placed his hand on Lu Yizhen's shoulder. "Good work, see you next time." Lu Yizhen silently watched as the two slowly walked away. Meanwhile, somewhere in this city, the mastermind behind it all received a report from his subordinate that the operation had failed. "It doesn't matter. Our focus wasn't on the success of the kidnapping, but to send a warning to SW. Teach when these incidents become more frequent, SW will start paying attention to their business expansion. That's enough for now. The arrested female kidnapper was now being interrogated. I didn't expect SW would hire that kind of monster, the interrogator said with curiosity. Monster, the female kidnapper slowly uttered 3 words. Mercenary Jin. If I had known he was there, I would never have acted this way. No, I wouldn't have taken this job at all. The interrogator indicated he didn't understand what she was saying. Don't try to play dumb. Mercenary Jin usually covers his face, but I recognize those eyes because I've encountered him before. About half a year ago, he stopped accepting commissions and disappeared. Rumors said he was severely injured, probably dead or retired. Who would have thought he'd be hired by SW? The interrogator's face remained unchanged. You're still talking nonsense. I've heard of that mercenary too. How could a top-tier mercenary active on battlefields possibly work as a security guard in a place like this? The female kidnapper said nothing more. She couldn't find any words to refute him, but from her gaze, she clearly still believed what she'd said. At the hospital, the captain was reporting the aftermath of the incident to Shen Ji-yun. Then the arrested suspects are all mercenaries operating overseas. We haven't found their backers yet. The commission might have passed through several hands, so they don't know who the client is either. Shen Ji-yun felt that first it was Shen Yaner, and now herself. Clearly this wasn't coincidental. The captain felt the same way. Shen Ji-yun couldn't figure out what the opponent's purpose was. Then she mentioned Liu Yizhen. How about that kid? He seems much more skilled than during his training period. He gave me quite a scare. He doesn't look like an ordinary student, does he? The captain replied, it seems so. And when you saw him, he already had several broken ribs. His nails were broken, and there was a bullet graze on his shoulder. The broken ribs and nails were probably from when he fell off after hanging onto the kidnapper's car. Shen Ji-yun was stunned, her face full of disbelief. So he fought in that physical condition? The captain added, before you regained consciousness, he fought 5 armed kidnappers. Though it defies common sense, Liu Yizhen managed to do it. Shen Ji-yun was shocked on the spot. How is that possible? She immediately got out of bed, intending to visit Liu Yizhen's hospital room. When she arrived, Liu Yizhen had changed his clothes and was preparing to go home. What are you doing? Why did you change your clothes? Liu Yizhen explained that he hadn't been home for 2 days, so he was preparing to return. Weren't you seriously injured? You should at least recover from your injuries first. Liu Yizhen thought that resting and recovering at home would be better. No. Who authorized you to do this? Liu Yizhen calmly replied, the hospital did. The two felt exasperated. But they continued to persuade him. In your current condition, how will you explain these injuries to your family? Liu Yizhen indicated he already had an excuse prepared. For injuries that couldn't be hidden, he would say they happened during training. Shen Ji-yun found Liu Yizhen annoying for having prepared all his answers in advance. Then she sent the captain away. She said to Liu Yizhen, come work for me after you graduate. You won't get any benefits staying with Yaner. She's still just a child. Yaner only inherited her parents' assets. She doesn't even know how to take responsibility for her own future. But I'm different. I will definitely take responsibility for your future. Liu Yizhen stared at her for a moment. I have a question for you. Shen Ji-yun thought it was about compensation and immediately assured him she wouldn't shortchange him and would offer the highest salary. It's not about that. What did you mean by me being with Shen Yaner? Shen Ji-yun looked puzzled. Aren't you dating Yaner? We're not dating. Shen Ji-yun had a cunning look. So she's in unrequited love. She continued, anyway, come work for me after graduation. If you find a well-paying job right after graduation, your family will be happy too. At the mention of his family being happy, Liu Yizhen's face visibly changed. He remained silent for a moment. I'll consider. The headquarters was reporting the situation while 32 left the squad on his own initiative. Yes, he must have heard that 6 was eliminated by 1. His face was smeared with enemy blood. How stupid. Just because his brother died, he lost all reason. That's why family is useless. Meanwhile, a young man appeared at the airport in Country S. The sunlight shining through the window onto Liu Yizhen's back gave him a slightly melancholic air. He was thinking about the female kidnapper who knew his name, but he had no recollection of her at all. Though the female kidnapper had called him by his code name from when he commanded troops, it probably had nothing to do with headquarters. Suddenly, his phone rang. Looking at his phone, it was a call from Shen Yaner. Knowing Liu Yizhen liked triangular rice balls, Shen Yaner had bought a bunch. She had heard Liu Yizhen was injured, so she arranged to meet him. I heard about that incident. I heard you made the biggest contribution in saving Miss Jian. But Liu Yizhen modestly replied, no. The captain deserves the most credit. He quickly drove after the kidnappers, contacted the security division and police, and pinpointed the kidnappers' movements. After catching up with them, even though he was shot, he desperately distracted the enemy so I could escape with the vice chairman hostage. Until he confirmed the vice chairman was completely safe, he kept buying time alone. No matter what I did, it would have been useless without him. Shen Yaner felt awkward. Oh, I see. Gao Shiju nodded thoughtfully. According to what you're saying, the captain really deserves the most credit. But without you, the captain couldn't have managed this much. I read the report. Your contribution wasn't small either. Liu Yizhen said very seriously, we're a team. The safety of the protected person is what matters most. There's no need to debate who contributed more. Gao Shiju nodded, feeling Liu Yizhen was right. They looked at each other, once again finding common ground, while Shenyana felt like an outsider. Why are they so passionate about work? Suddenly, Lu Yizhen received a text message. Seeing Lu Yizhen's serious expression, Shenyana asked if something had happened. It turned out Ziying and others were looking for Lu Yizhen to join them at an internet cafe. They needed a fifth player. Shenyana found it strange. But you're injured. Your hand is like this. How can you play games? Lu Yizhen replied irritably. He said, I'm terrible at games anyway, so there's no difference between before and after my injury. That's why he wants me to hurry over. Meanwhile, his sister was on her way home from school. She thought about buying some meat to help her brother's recovery since he was injured. She also recalled how a female classmate had approached her today, saying, I heard Yizhen hasn't been at school for several days. What happened? He injured his hand while traveling. He injured his hand? Is it serious? His face isn't injured, is it? That would be terrible. The sister felt her brother was becoming more and more popular. Suddenly, she noticed several young thugs bullying a boy ahead. She looked around, hoping to find someone who could help. Then she recognized the thug who had approached her last time. Remembering how he had specifically come to apologize after the previous incident, she felt the thugs weren't so bad. If she said something, things might be okay. So she walked over. Hello. The thug turned arrogantly. Who is it? The next second, they turned pale with fear. They hurriedly explained to the sister, this is a misunderstanding. This kid picked a fight first. He suddenly stopped us on the street and demanded we buy him food. The sister, being kind-hearted, still wanted the thugs to forgive the boy. Though the thug was very annoyed, he chose to compromise and left. The sister turned to look at the boy. Are you okay? Are you hurt? The answer came in the form of the boy's stomach growling loudly. The boy felt apologetic. Could you buy me a meal? Later, the two arrived at a convenience store. The sister bought a bunch of triangular rice balls. Watching the boy devour the food, she thought, he must have been hungry for a long time. He looks about my age. Did he lose his wallet? A moment later, the boy was finally full. He noticed the sister staring at him. Blushing, he lowered his cap. Sorry, did I scare you? I was too hungry. The sister interrupted him. It's okay. You look like you've been hungry for a long time. The boy explained he had come from abroad and lost his wallet right after arriving in this country. He'd been hungry for several days. The sister checked the time. It was getting late, and she worried her brother might be concerned. So she took out some money. Standing up to leave, she said, if you're hungry, use this money to buy something to eat. The boy watched the sister's receding figure, silently remembering her. Because of his injury, Lu Yizhen hadn't gone to school and was wandering the streets alone. Just then, a familiar figure brushed past him. Lu Yizhen quickly turned to look. This boy was the same one his sister had met last night, but his true identity was 032. Lu Yizhen hadn't expected 032 to come looking for him. He decisively followed him, but 032 turned into an alley. When Lu Yizhen entered the alley, the person had already vanished. But such tactics couldn't fool the best mercenary. Following the clues, Lu Yizhen arrived at an abandoned construction site. Lu Yizhen cautiously walked in. To his surprise, 032 had already detected him and was now pointing a gun at him. 032, filled with killing intent, didn't say a word. He shot at Lu Yizhen without hesitation. Fortunately, Lu Yizhen was agile and quickly ducked into a corner. However, Liu Yizhen's previous wound hadn't healed, which hindered his movement. 032 approached step by step. 001. Long time no see. I was worried who was suddenly chasing me. I was startled when I realized it was you. Only I know some of 006 Feet's habits. I thought if I followed these traces, I could find whoever met 006. I just didn't expect it to be so quick. Lu Yizhen asked if headquarters had sent him to eliminate him. Headquarters shouldn't have any reason to send you after me just because 006 failed his mission. Shut up. Do you think you're still our captain? From 32's attitude, Lu Yizhen realized 32 had snuck out on his own. Either way, a traitor like you has no right to speak. 001, I don't want to hate you because we each have our own difficulties. But 006 was my only family. He was the only one who took care of me in that hellish life. Taking advantage of 32's distracted reminiscing, an old piece of iron flew toward him. It accurately hit 32's gun-holding hands. Liu Yizhen quickly rushed forward and tackled 032. The two rolled on the ground several times. However, the iron hadn't knocked 032 Feet's gun away. Once he recovered, 032 aimed to finish Liu Yizhen. Liu Yizhen's gaze turned cold. He kicked the gun away. Without a firearm, 032 had to use cold weapons. He took out a knife and charged. Liu Yizhen dodged easily. After several exchanges, he seized an opportunity, targeting 32's face, ready to throw a punch. But just as he was about to strike, his injury flared up. Because he slowed down, 32 naturally blocked him. 32 noticed Liu Yizhen's abnormality and realized his ribs must be injured. So he kicked Liu Yizhen hard in the abdomen. Liu Yizhen gritted his teeth, clutching his injured area, but 032 gave him no chance to breathe, charging again. Liu Yizhen, enduring the pain, grabbed 032 Feet's hands. Looks like your body isn't in good shape. Liu Yizhen was more concerned about whether 032 had reported everything to headquarters. 001, why have you become so talkative? Liu Yizhen demanded in a commanding tone. Answer me. 032 gritted his teeth, very angry. I told you, you're no longer our captain. Now you're just a target I want to eliminate. A swish sound, the noise of a knife cutting through flesh. The two retreated, creating distance between them. 032 wasn't injured. That meant the injured one was Liu Yizhen. A wound appeared on his left abdomen. The wound was quite deep, with blood dripping onto the ground. 032 was punched. He quickly distanced himself from Liu Yizhen. Liu Yizhen didn't press his advantage but said to him, 032, I'll ask you once more. Did you report this to headquarters? 032 remained stubborn. 001, what are you doing? Why have you become so talkative? Why should I tell anything to a traitor, especially one who killed 006? No matter what you ask, I won't answer you. He attacked Liu Yizhen again, but Liu Yizhen blocked him. Then his face took a punch from Liu Yizhen. 032 stumbled backward. Liu Yizhen pressed his advantage, raising his leg for a kick. He struck 032 hard in the abdomen. 032 coughed several times in pain. After rolling on the ground, he knelt. But unexpectedly, the gun that had been knocked away was nearby. Seeing this, Liu Yizhen rushed forward. Just as 32 was about to fire, Liu Yizhen gripped the gun barrel, causing the bullet to miss. Then 032 was pushed against the wall by Liu Yizhen. Using his arm to press against 032 feet's throat, Liu Yizhen prevented him from escaping. Are you pursuing me out of loyalty to headquarters, or to avenge 6? 32 remained stubborn, refusing to answer Liu Yizhen's question. Then he kneed Liu Yizhen in the abdomen, successfully breaking free from Liu Yizhen's grip. He fired several shots at Liu Yizhen, but he missed again. Liu Yizhen had ducked into a corner again. 032 cursed. Damn it, I need to adjust my condition first. So he fired several more shots in Liu Yizhen's direction, using firepower to prevent Liu Yizhen from moving. Then he turned and ran. Liu Yizhen surely wouldn't let him go easily and quickly gave chase, but due to his old injury, he collapsed in pain. Liu Yizhen clutched his abdomen, bleeding profusely. He seemed to be in severe pain. Meanwhile, Gao Shizhu at school received a call from Liu Yizhen. Liu Yizhen asked Gao Shizhu to help him check surveillance footage of a certain place, just like last time. Gao Shizhu left the classroom without hesitation, and 032, who had escaped, wandered the streets. He thought, damn it, if 001 hadn't kept asking useless questions, I would have been dead already. He's been living under a false identity for so long. Why is he still improving? 032 couldn't understand why Liu Yizhen kept asking that question. Why didn't he kill the assassin who came after him? As he pondered, he clenched his fists. Just then, the thug who had approached the sister spotted 032. Isn't that the kid from yesterday? Damn it, talk about running into enemies. You got lucky last time, but today you're out of luck. 032 also noticed the thugs, but 032 didn't want conflict with them and tried to leave, but was blocked by the thugs. The thugs had no idea who they were picking a fight with and looked fierce. 032 feet's eyes turned ice cold. Moments later, all the thugs were down, injured, or worse. 032 walked the streets again without purpose. Suddenly, he ran into the sister returning from school. 032 frantically searched his pockets. Finally, he pulled out a crumpled bill. Here, this is for you. Thank you, you helped me a lot. I'll give you the rest next time. This is all I have now. The sister said he didn't have to repay her, but 032 insisted. Since he was so insistent, the sister took the money and prepared to say goodbye, but suddenly 032 feet's stomach growled again. So the sister took him to the convenience store again for triangular rice balls. Watching 032 devour the food, she said, "You didn't need to give me all your money. I wasn't expecting it back." 032 replied, "What are you talking about? Of course I have to pay it back. Getting help from others and waiting until you're well off to repay. That's not how things work." Since they were around the same age, they quickly found topics to discuss and talked nonstop. That's when Liu Yizhen, out of breath, caught up. When he saw 032 with his sister, he mistakenly thought 032 was deliberately approaching her. His eyes instantly turned cold. 032 was chatting casually with the sister. "We met here again today. Do you live nearby? I don't live around here. I just came for some business. You probably live in this area, right? Sorry, did I ask a useless question?" Just then, a figure rushed over quickly. 032 turned his head quickly. Before he could react, he was grabbed by Liu Yizhen. He was thrown forcefully to the ground, even knocking over a nearby table. Liu Yizhen picked up chopsticks from nearby. This time, Liu Yizhen didn't question him. He just wanted to eliminate 032 to protect his sister. So he stabbed down without hesitation. Fortunately, 032 reacted quickly, grabbing Liu Yizhen's arm. 032 hadn't expected Liu Yizhen to find him so quickly. Before he could think more, Liu Yizhen clenched his fist. He swung at 032, but 032 dodged it again. 032 gritted his teeth. He counterattacked by kneeing Liu Yizhen in the abdomen. Liu Yizhen gritted his teeth in pain. The two created distance between them. 032 cursed. Damn it. Looking at the sister behind Liu Yizhen, he realized she had been dragged into this. So he said to Liu Yizhen, 001, let's go somewhere else. That child is innocent. I don't know her. Liu Yizhen didn't speak, until his sister called out, "Brother, what suddenly happened? What's going on?" But Liu Yizhen didn't explain, instead telling his sister to leave quickly. The sister wanted to ask more, but when she saw her brother's eyes, she froze. Yes, she realized her brother's eyes were the same as when he had saved her before. Suddenly she noticed the wound on Liu Yizhen's abdomen. "Brother, you're hurt." 032 stood frozen in place. "What? You two know each other?" the sister explained to him. "He's my brother." "I'm sorry, my brother isn't usually like this. There must be some misunderstanding." 032 seemed to understand something. "Ha, this is ridiculous." Liu Yizhen pulled his sister protectively behind him. "Doyoung, can you leave for now?" The sister didn't want to leave, but seeing her brother's eyes, she had no choice but to go. Only Liu Yizhen and 32 remained at the scene. 1. She seems convinced that you're her real brother. You never used to do this kind of pretending. Why are you doing this now? Liu Yizhen looked at 032 with death-like eyes. "If you answer my questions, I'll tell you. Did you report to headquarters on your way here? And is your reason for coming here loyalty to headquarters or revenge?" 32 was a bit impatient. "Why do you keep repeating the same question? In this situation, isn't that unimportant?" Seeing Liu Yizhen's extremely serious eyes, 032 understood that if he didn't answer first, he wouldn't get his own answers. He reluctantly replied to Liu Yizhen's questions. "I only came because I heard 006 was killed by you. I didn't come out of loyalty to headquarters. I just wanted to avenge 6. He was my only family, although that place doesn't allow family ties. 6 was my only family. We weren't particularly close, but when I heard 6 had been killed, I impulsively came here. To be honest, I don't even know if this counts as revenge." Looking at 032 Feet's demeanor, Liu Yizhen felt he wasn't lying. 006 is still alive. He only faked being killed by me and disappeared, so neither headquarters nor you could find him. 032 couldn't believe 006 was still alive. Only after Liu Yizhen's confirmation did he believe it. Suddenly he had an epiphany, understanding why Liu Yizhen kept asking that question. It was to confirm whether he was loyal to headquarters. Knowing the answer, 032 slumped in his chair. He couldn't help but laugh a little. "Then why are you here?" Liu Yizhen told him he had simply come home. The information was overwhelming. 32 looked incredulous. "What? Is that child really your family? Didn't you say you lost your memory?" Liu Yizhen answered, "My memory has been returning recently, though it's still incomplete." "Is betraying headquarters also because you recovered your memory?" Liu Yizhen answered him again. "Not really. I just couldn't follow headquarters orders anymore." Suddenly, Liu Yizhen glared at 032 with murderous intent. "By the way, 032, how do you know Doyon?" 032 was startled by this sudden change. When it came to his sister, Liu Yizhen was always like this, fearing she might be harmed even slightly. Even his tone was filled with killing intent. "Tell me quickly." 032 was terrified, his eyes wide. This sudden murderous aura made him feel unable to breathe. Seeing Liu Yizhen slowly approaching him, 032 hurriedly explained, "Your sister helped me before. Today was the same situation." Liu Yizhen's gaze made 32 unable to look him in the eye. 32 turned his head away. That's all. The next second, the killing aura around Liu Yizhen disappeared. 032 was drenched in cold sweat. Although 032 didn't know why Liu Yizhen had emanated such killing intent, his instinct told him it was even scarier than when they were fighting. Then, Liu Yizhen began tidying up. Seeing this, 032 helped as well. Suddenly, 032 asked Liu Yizhen if 006 was okay. Liu Yizhen recalled the scene of 006 being struck down by Gao Shiju. He didn't know how to answer, whether he should say everything was fine. Fortunately, 032 didn't press further, feeling relieved just knowing 006 was alive. Then Liu Yizhen voiced his confusion. "Why do you believe 006 is still alive? I betrayed headquarters after all." 032 replied, "But you've never lied to us. Also, 006 once said that 001, who went through hellish training with us and always took care of us, betrayed headquarters, not us." After 32's explanation, Liu Yizhen understood the strange things he had noticed before. On the day headquarters acted to eliminate him, not only 6 but several others were also not enthusiastic about it. If not for that, Liu Yizhen certainly wouldn't have survived. "It seems those guys dislike headquarters more than you do." Liu asked Liu Yizhen if there was any way to contact 006. Liu Yizhen said there wasn't, only 006 could contact him. 032 sighed, looking somewhat disappointed. "Though we call each other family, we barely speak except during missions, sometimes not for years. That's probably why 006 didn't tell me he was still alive. I didn't even know about this and almost got eliminated by you." Seeing his disappointment, Liu Yizhen told him, 006 did all this for you. If you care too much about family relationships, headquarters will exploit it. That's why he deliberately distanced himself from you, and it's the same this time. Even if headquarters discovers he's alive, they won't find any connection records with you. Even with this mission failure, he was concerned you might be implicated and preferred to be eliminated by me. 32 pursed his lips, seemingly moved. Then he told Liu Yizhen one last thing. The fact that you're still alive is being kept secret by headquarters, known only to a few high-level members, so they can only send a limited number of people to find you. It's strange when you think about it. The fact that you, a traitor with the code number 1, are still alive should be a big deal for headquarters. After saying this, 32 indicated he needed to leave. He would visit a few more places to leave traces before returning to headquarters. Suddenly, 32 stopped. He noticed the cute sister peeking from a distance. Liu Yizhen looked toward his sister, his face full of affection. Seeing this, 32's eyes widened. He had never seen Liu Yizhen make such an expression. 32 tentatively asked, So she really is your sister? Can I say goodbye before I go? Liu Yizhen's expression changed instantly, frightening 32 into stammering. It would be strange to leave suddenly, right? I received her help, so I should at least say goodbye. In the end, 32 did wave goodbye to the sister. The sister asked her brother curiously, "You know each other? Then why did you suddenly start fighting?" Liu Yizhen hesitated, not knowing how to answer. In his urgency, he remembered Shen Yana and others saying his sister was popular and pretty. So Liu Yizhen said very seriously, "I thought some weirdo was harassing you because you're good looking." This directly embarrassed his sister. When 32 returned to his base, he suddenly heard movement inside. 32 cautiously drew his gun. Alert to what was ahead, a voice sounded, "Calm down." A burly thug emerged from the shadows. 32 called out his name, Erode, also from headquarters. "Put your gun down, will you?" Seeing 32 lower his gun, Erode looked around. "So, you suddenly ran from headquarters. What are you doing in a place like this? Why didn't you request backup? Did you find the traitor?" 32 wondered when he had arrived, but said aloud, "How could it be that easy? Why are you here?" Erode pulled out a knife from his sleeve. Taking advantage of 32's lowered guard, he stabbed 32 in the abdomen. "What else would I be doing? I'm here to deal with you for ignoring headquarters orders." Gritting his teeth, 32 asked, "Did headquarters order you to eliminate me?" The thug displayed a typical villain's smile. "Well, headquarters said to eliminate you if you refuse to return." Then he pulled the knife from 32's body, followed by another slash. 032 couldn't dodge in time and took another stab to his thigh. 032 gritted his teeth in pain. Finally, he was kicked away. The thug walked toward 32 with bloodshot eyes. 32 clutched his wounds. He asked what the thug really wanted. The thug said, "I want to take this opportunity to eliminate you. I didn't want to deal with 6 before. You should know I've been waiting for a chance to get rid of you." 32 taunted, "Aren't you just afraid of 6? Always following his lead. Why be so indirect? And you don't even dare fight me face to face, resorting to such ambushes." The thug frowned, instantly provoked. "You little," he stabbed fiercely. But 032 dodged. 032 countered with a slash, but it only grazed the thug's face. The thug stabbed again, but 032 blocked it. But 32's abdominal wound was too severe. Because he moved too much, it tore open. The thug seized the opportunity, landing a punch on 32. 032 was thrown back. Now 032 lay on the ground, coughing continuously. The thug picked up the dropped gun. "Damn you. Not just you, but the other members too. Just because you contributed the most to headquarters, you receive special treatment. You don't deserve it. You dare to disobey headquarters and act on your own like this." 032 mocked, "If you want such treatment, show some skill." Bang! The thug shot 032 in the leg. 032 collapsed to the ground. "Even if you try to provoke me, it's useless. Because no matter what you say, you'll be eliminated." 032 feet's eyes turned cold. He threw his knife at the thug, who quickly dodged. 032 seized the opportunity to escape. The thug quickly fired. 032 reacted swiftly, dropping to avoid the bullet, then running out of the room. Then he stood up, limping. When the thug came out, 032 had vanished, leaving only bloodstains. The thug followed the blood trail. "Stop hiding and come out. You can't hide in your condition. If you come out now, I'll finish you quickly and cleanly." The thug walked step by step toward the corner. Suddenly, a long hand grabbed his arm. With a bang, the thug was slammed against the wall. The thug blinked. He prepared to shoot whoever attacked him. The next second, the magazine from the thug's gun was removed by his attacker. Then the thug's jaw took a punch. Seeing the thug's eyes, yes, he was about to counterattack. He swung a knife, but the attacker dodged. The thug's body swayed. "Who are you?" Standing before him was an extremely handsome young man. His eyes were cold. Seeing those eyes, the thug's heart sank. "Are you 001? Liu Yizhen didn't waste words and charged forward. The thug had no defense. His attacks couldn't hit Liu Yizhen. While he was hit by punch after punch, then a kick. Each strike connected solidly. The thug gritted his teeth. He swung his knife again. Liu Yizhen dodged, grabbing his arm. Crack. The sound of breaking bones. The thug's arm was snapped by Liu Yizhen. Next, Liu Yizhen kneed him in the face. Not finished, Liu Yizhen grabbed the back of the thug's head. He slammed the thug's face into the wall. The next second, the thug's eyes rolled back. His body went limp and fell to the ground. Liu Yizhen looked at the thug on the ground, his expression unchanged. 032, sitting exhausted nearby, asked how he had found him. Liu Yizhen turned to look at 032. Then he walked past him. He picked up a plastic bag from the doorway. Finally, he handed it to 032. "My sister said you had no money for food." Seeing 032 feet's expression, he found it strange. Opening the plastic bag, 032 saw it was full of food. "So you bought food for me?" "Ha, 001. How have you changed so much? Did you hit your head? Or is this your true self after recovering your memories?" The next day, Liu Yizhen handed over the thug he'd beaten to SW for processing. The boss said he'd investigated the thug and found he was an internationally wanted criminal who would likely be imprisoned. Then he curiously asked if the thug was someone from Liu Yizhen's past. Liu Yizhen was silent for a moment, then replied, "Though we didn't interact much, you're right. Then I won't ask further. If you need help, just contact me anytime." Liu Yizhen bowed to the boss in gratitude and left. After Liu Yizhen left, the boss's bodyguard said, "He suddenly contacted us. I thought something was wrong. Never expected he'd hand over a criminal for us to process. We even found traces of a gunfight at the scene. The boss remained silent. Liu Yizhen entered the main hall. He was reflecting on yesterday's events. Looking at the panting 032, Liu Yizhen told him to hang on a bit longer. I'll take you somewhere for proper treatment. 032 feet's breathing became increasingly rapid. Forget it, I'll handle it myself. Just need to stop the bleeding and disinfect it. Better treatment would take more time and headquarters would become suspicious. Liu Yizhen hadn't expected 032 would return to headquarters. Didn't headquarters order your elimination? 032 explained, thinking about my conversation with that guy. There must have been some condition attached to eliminating me. That guy acted on his own out of resentment towards Six and members like us. So I've decided to pretend I don't know anything, return to headquarters and demand why they decided to eliminate me. Liu Yizhen thought it was too dangerous. 032 disagreed. I think headquarters doesn't suspect anything about 006 feet's elimination. If I tell headquarters that guy acted on his own due to resentment toward us, my chances of success are high. Liu Yizhen didn't try to persuade him further. There's really no other option. If I hide, they'll definitely come after me. That way 006 might be discovered too. If I succeed this time, I'll help erase your traces as repayment, along with 006 feet's traces. They should be too busy to focus here for a while. 001, I hope you can protect your current life. Suddenly, oh, what are you doing here? Brought Liu Yizhen back to reality. It was Shen Jiyun and the captain. Liu Yizhen said he had come to handle some business. Then Shen Jiyun asked, has your injury healed? Recalling how 032 had repeatedly attacked his injured areas, he could hardly say the injury had gotten worse. So he claimed it was much better. That's good. Do you have time now? Want to have a meal together? The captain behind her thought, we have a meeting soon. Liu Yizhen directly refused, saying he had plans to eat with his family. Shen Jiyun was rejected again. To hide her embarrassment, she said, of course you can't be late for a family meal. Come to think of it, I think I have some business too, so I probably can't have a meal together. The captain thought, weren't we just talking about the meeting? We were about to come here for the meeting. Women are so strange. By the way, have you considered working part-time? The salary won't disappoint you. Liu Yizhen firmly refused without hesitation. Shen Jiyun thought, why is he so quick to refuse? He's always like this. Is this his character? She sighed. All right, I understand. Would you like a ride home? Liu Yizhen refused again. I knew you'd say that. Liu Yizhen walks home alone. Suddenly he notices his grandfather standing at the front door. When asked what he's doing there, grandfather says he just came out for a walk. Yizhen, your sister Duoyan's birthday is coming up in a few days. I wonder what children her age like these days. Do you know what Duoyan likes? Or anything she's interested in? Liu Yizhen remains silent. Grandfather and grandson look at each other, clearly neither knows. Later that night, Shen Jiyun is reviewing documents in her office. Suddenly her phone rings. Looking at the caller ID, she smiles slightly. Strange. Why are you calling me? On the other end is Liu Yizhen, asking if her previous proposal still stands. Shen Jiyun thinks he's talking about getting dinner, and says she's busy, needing to check her schedule first. The next moment, Liu Yizhen's response makes her eyes bulge in surprise. It turns out, Liu Yizhen wants to ask about part-time work to buy his sister a birthday gift. So, that's why you called. Are you interested? Then come to the studio tomorrow at 4. Liu Yizhen's part-time job is to be a security guard for popular star Che Meihe. When the manager sees Liu Yizhen, he thinks he might be an artist or model. But the security company guy, Thug, is particularly displeased. He thinks, it's just some punk kid. Does he think being a security guard is child's play? He blocks the door, not letting Liu Yizhen in. Only when the manager speaks up does he let Liu Yizhen enter. When Che Meihe sees Liu Yizhen, she's stunned by his looks. She doubts he's really a security guard. How could someone be so handsome? Isn't he someone about to debut from SW Entertainment? Wasn't he sent here to attract attention? From now on, I'll be responsible for Miss Che Meihe's security. My name is Liu Yizhen. Che Meihe pauses for a moment. Good. I'll be counting on you then. Liu Yizhen then looks around the break room, carefully observing everything. Then asks, today is the first day of shooting. This room has been temporarily used as a break room for 4 hours, and tracking and receiving letters started half a month ago. Am I right? Che Meihe replies, no, these things happen frequently. Strange letters always appear in the mailbox. Sometimes they even show up at home, just more frequently recently, but everyone in our industry encounters this sort of thing. It's not something worth SW worrying about. By the way, how old are you? You look so young. Liu Yizhen remembers his team captain's advice before coming, don't reveal your age, they won't trust you. So he answers, that's a secret. At this moment, Thug wants to teach Liu Yizhen a lesson, saying, hey, I have something to tell you, can you step outside? The two come to a corner in the hallway. I heard you're an intern security guard from SW, right? Just stay quiet on the side and don't move around, got it? I'll handle anything that comes up. I don't know why SW Group sent a kid like you here, but security work isn't child's play. Especially since training and field work are two different things. So don't get in the way, stay put, and you can leave when your time is up. Seeing Thug's arrogant expression, Liu Yizhen doesn't get angry. Are you Mr. Jin Kuiying, currently working at the security company? Thug is provoked by Liu Yizhen's tone and grabs his collar. You punk, ignoring what I say? Do I look like I'm joking? If you don't want a beating, remember what I said. There's not a trace of fear in Liu Yizhen's eyes. Thug pushes Liu Yizhen against the wall, mutters seriously, and walks away. The collision reopens Liu Yizhen's wound. He clutches his left abdomen. Che-mei sees all this. Are you okay? I was worried something happened, so I came to check. Liu Yizhen says he's fine, but Che-mei still feels apologetic. He's someone our company arranged, and after spending a few days with him, I found his personality rather reckless. I originally told the company I didn't need a security guard. Liu Yizhen doesn't speak, giving off a cold feeling. Che-mei stares at Liu Yizhen. You're a student, right? Liu Yizhen's answer is still, that's a secret. At this moment, the manager comes looking for them. The shooting is about to begin. Che-mei turns back, telling Liu Yizhen not to worry, he can leave when his shift ends. Then she goes to work. The shooting proceeds normally. Even though everyone around is male, they can't help stealing glances at Liu Yizhen because he's so handsome. Thug scolds Liu Yizhen, why did you take so long to come back? Are you here to play around? When he learns Liu Yizhen was patrolling the surroundings, he gets annoyed again. Patrol, what do you know? Just then, a staff member shouts, thank you everyone for your hard work. Everyone finishes the day's work and prepares to pack up. A please don't leave yet makes everyone stop in their tracks. Liu Yizhen says, the police will be here soon. Everyone present must cooperate with the investigation. Then he takes out a mini camera. Che-mei looks at the object in Liu Yizhen's hand. What is this? Liu Yizhen calmly replies, it's a mini camera installed in the standby room. The three are stunned. People around whisper and discuss among themselves. I've already checked the surveillance, but there's no camera at the door of the standby room, so it's still unclear who did it. Che-mei's face darkens with worry. Thug, as always displeased with Liu Yizhen, asks, why are you only mentioning this now? Liu Yizhen explains, Ms. Che-mei wasn't using that standby room, so to avoid disrupting work, I didn't report the situation immediately, and no one has taken the camera yet. Thug fumes, feeling Liu Yizhen is setting him up. He tries to grab the camera, but Liu Yizhen dodges. Thug glares at Liu Yizhen. What are you trying to do? Liu Yizhen answers, it's better to hand this to the manager. Thug immediately asks the manager to give him the camera to assist with the police investigation. With the manager's permission, Thug snatches the camera, then walks to Liu Yizhen's ear. Hey, come out with me for a bit. The two come to the hallway corner again. Finding something like this? Shouldn't you tell me first? Facing Thug's questioning, Liu Yizhen says, why should I tell you? And when I asked if you had checked the standby room, you said you had, didn't you? Thug frowns. So you had already discovered it then? You arrogant brat, haven't you heard that when you find something at the scene, you should report it to your superior immediately? Liu Yizhen's eyes turn cold. You are not my superior. Thug is completely enraged and tries to slap Liu Yizhen. But Liu Yizhen isn't going to stand there and take it, he blocks it with his hand. The two stare at each other with no further movement. Liu Yizhen's killing intent rises suddenly as he says, this won't do either of us any good. Just a punk kid. You think having SW backing you means you can do whatever you want? If it weren't for SW, you'd be beaten up already. After saying this, Thug turns and leaves, not knowing he just saved his own life. Liu Yizhen finishes his day's work by sending Che-mei home. They still don't know who placed the camera, saying an investigation will reveal the results. They soon arrive at Che-mei's home. The manager enthusiastically offers to send Liu Yizhen to the subway station, but he politely declines. After saying goodbye to everyone, Liu Yizhen walks around the area. Just then, Che-mei changes into casual clothes and puts on a mask. She covers herself thoroughly and walks out. A figure appears behind her, startling her. When she turns around, she finds it's Liu Yizhen. Haven't you left yet? Liu Yizhen tells her no, I was checking the surroundings. Che-mei cautiously asks, but your shift is over now. Can I go to the convenience store nearby? Liu Yizhen says she can do whatever she wants, he's here to ensure her safety. Hearing Liu Yizhen's answer, Che-mei happily hums a tune as she goes to the convenience store, contentedly eating instant noodles. She originally wanted to buy them and eat at home, but with Liu Yizhen there, she dares to eat them right there. The two chat casually, but mostly it's Che-mei talking. Mainly because she doesn't have many friends around and has no one to talk to when under pressure, so she just wanted to wander nearby. Suddenly she asks Liu Yizhen what he usually does, like during his rest time. Liu Yizhen, not paying attention, answers casually, sometimes I go to internet cafes with friends after school. Che-mei thinks she misheard and confirms again. Liu Yizhen affirms, yes. What's going on? Why did his tone just now sound so much like a student? That's when Liu Yizhen notices he was too absorbed in his triangle rice ball and let something slip. At the internet cafe, Ziying and the others seem to witness something unbelievable. It turns out Liu Yizhen brought Che-mei over. After playing games together, they eat and chat, especially Ziying and the others who are very excited because they never dreamed of playing games with their idol, praising Big Sister for her super nice personality and being even more beautiful in person. Che-mei smiles mischievously, thank you, but you still say I'm terrible at gaming. Ying-kan firmly states, that's unavoidable, you really are terrible at gaming. Ziying quickly adds, that's right, you did feed the enemy team quite a bit. Xianzhen looks exhausted. When you and Yizhen were feeding the enemy together, it was really awkward for us. Liu Yizhen silently drinks his beverage without speaking. Big sister, I'm saying this for your own good. Don't tell people outside that you play games or you'll get criticized. because people in games don't know you're a celebrity. Yingken and the other nod vigorously, indicating Ziying is right. This makes Shemei laugh heartily. It's getting late, and soon it's time to say goodbye. Watching Shemei's departing figure, Ziying and the others feel it's unreal. Am I dreaming? The group walks home laughing and joking. On the way back, Shemei says she was surprised that her security guard is actually a student. But thanks to Liu Yizhen, she had a lot of fun today. She asks Liu Yizhen why, as a student, he's working as a security guard. When she learns Liu Yizhen is doing it to buy his sister a birthday gift, she praises him for being a good brother, then offers to send Liu Yizhen home. Liu Yizhen says it's not necessary. After he sends Miss Shemei home, he can go home by himself. Hearing how Liu Yizhen addresses her, Shemei corrects him, "Don't call me miss, just call me sister." Liu Yizhen looks at her without speaking. A moment later, they arrive at Shemei's front door. A figure appears behind them, seemingly having waited there for some time. Liu Yizhen steps forward, shielding Shemei behind him. A four-eyed thug slowly walks over. Shemei tells Liu Yizhen not to worry, he's someone I know. The four-eyed thug says, "Miss Shemei, the vice director is looking for you." Shemei doesn't speak, silently walking over. Liu Yizhen follows closely behind. But four-eyed thug blocks Liu Yizhen, saying, "You'd better not come." Liu Yizhen stares at him expressionlessly. And if not for Shemei speaking up, four-eyed thug would have been in trouble. "Alright, you go back first. I'll go home after I deal with this." But Liu Yizhen's determined gaze insists on waiting for her. Looking at Liu Yizhen's extremely handsome face, Shemei smiles. "I really am fine. Go home and rest." Then she turns and leaves, thinking she doesn't want to implicate the kid. Thus, Shemei gets into the car of four-eyed thug's boss. The man demands, "Why don't you answer my calls? Even if you can't pick up during work, you should call back when you see missed calls." Shemei asks why she has to answer his calls. The man shows a sinister smile. "Hey, Shemei, know your limits. Everyone's patience has a limit. Just because I met some other artists, you're still angry? Don't you understand me?" Shemei says indifferently, "Who you meet is none of my business. We broke up a long time ago. Why do you keep bothering me? Don't call me anymore, and don't show up without notice." She starts to open the car door to leave. Unexpectedly, the man grabs Shemei's hand. "Who said you could leave? I give you face and you don't know what's good for you. Think you're something now that you've got a bit of fame? You don't take me seriously? Do you think I don't have the power to make you lose your job? Do you want your parents to lose their jobs too?" Seeing Shemei's frightened look, he continues, "Now you know your place? So why were you refusing to drink earlier?" Suddenly there's a loud crash as the car window shatters, startling Shemei into a scream. A slender, large hand grabs the man, drags him out and throws him hard on the ground. Liu Yizhen calmly opens the car door. "You can get out now." Shemei steps out of the car, and Liu Yizhen asks with concern, "Are you okay?" "I'm fine." At this moment, the playboy gets up, yelling, "Who are you? Where did you come from?" Liu Yizhen calmly replies, "I'm a security guard." The playboy trembles with rage. "What? A security guard?" Only now does he realize his own security guard is missing. When he turns to look aside, he sees four-eyed thug pathetically sprawled on the ground. Four-eyed thug is in pain, clutching the back of his head and apologizing repeatedly. The playboy grits his teeth. "Shemei, you'll pay for this," then drives away. Shemei covers her mouth and asks Liu Yizhen, "Do you know who he is?" Liu Yizhen looks at her strangely. "I'm asking you." Liu Yizhen answers, "I just did what I had to do. Let's go. I'll wait until you're inside before I leave." Looking at Liu Yizhen's handsome face, Shemei suddenly feels secure. "Alright, and thank you for helping me." This time Liu Yizhen encounters Thug again, who says he heard Liu Yizhen cause trouble yesterday. "Do you know who you messed with yesterday?" Liu Yizhen states that regardless of who the person is, he just did what he had to do. Thug is furious. So many arrogant kids these days. "The person you messed with is the third son of KP Group's chairman, the vice director of the marketing department. And KP Group recently invested in Ms. Shemei's agency. All because of you. Now not only Ms. Shemei but her agency is also in trouble. Do you understand the situation now?" Liu Yizhen doesn't speak, showing no expression. "I don't know what fantasies you have about security work, but I advise you to be careful. Don't make trouble for others." Having said this, he turns and leaves, even spitting out a glob of phlegm, muttering, "So annoying." Meanwhile, in Shemei's agency office, the playboy who was beaten up by Liu Yizhen yesterday has come, and the boss demands Shemei apologize to him. But Shemei firmly states that he should be the one apologizing. The boss breaks into a cold sweat. "Mei, what's gotten into you?" Seeing Shemei remain silent, the boss sucks up to the playboy like a lapdog. Shemei feels awful inside. Then the playboy takes out a contract renewal. The boss says, "You haven't signed the contract yet, that's another reason I called you here." The boss quickly adds, "I've given you plenty of time to consider. You've been with us since your trainee days, and I've offered better terms than before." Shemei feels terrible inside, thinking, using these tactics to force me again? Do I have to sign a contract against my will again? At this point, the playboy says he wants to fire Liu Yizhen, righteously claiming Liu Yizhen has violent tendencies and makes him uncomfortable having him around Shemei. The bootlicking boss applauds enthusiastically. Shemei immediately objects. "Yizhen didn't do anything wrong, and last night..." She's interrupted by the playboy before she can finish. The playboy's expression darkens. So that guy's name is Yizen? You're already on a first-name basis? You must be close. Is it because he was there that you were so cold to me? Che Meihe is startled. It's starting again? Groundless jealousy. No, this is a twisted sense of possession. She then says, don't misunderstand, that kid is just a security guard. I was unfriendly yesterday because I hate how you keep bothering me after we broke up. But the playboy persists. Really? Then if I make sure that kid can never work as a security guard again, it wouldn't matter to you, right? People with violent tendencies shouldn't be security guards for others, don't you think? Che Meihe's eyes fill with helplessness. Do you have to go this far? Wouldn't it be enough if he just stopped being my security guard? The playboy wears a vicious expression. Why should I do that? After seeing what that kid did to me, how can you still say such things? Well, hurry up and sign the contract, then we'll go eat. Captain Jin, go bring that security guard here. Looking at the playboy's smug face, Che Meihe grits her teeth, feeling aggrieved. This place suffocates her. She wants to escape. At this moment, the young man who gives her hope appears. The playboy sighs. What's this? Now I see clearly. He's just a kid. No wonder he acts so recklessly. You don't need to be my security guard anymore. I'll explain to SW. Please leave now. The playboy looks arrogant. Hey, your days ahead won't be easy. Liu Zhen's gaze is cold, ignoring him. Instead, he looks at Che Meihe, noticing her trembling fists. Miss Che Meihe, it's time for your next appointment. Let's go. Hearing this, Che Meihe turns to look at Liu Zhen. The playboy clutches his stomach, laughing. You want to take Meihe away? If you have the guts, try it and see if you can really take her away. Following this, Thug enters with two subordinates. I'm very sorry. I'll find a way to handle this. Kid, stop bothering people here. Get out quick. Afraid Liu Zhen might get hurt, Che Meihe says. Wait, Liu Zhen. From now on, I don't need you as my security guard anymore. Go back quickly. You're fired. Liu Zhen stands expressionless, motionless. What are you still standing there for? Go quickly. A subordinate grabs Liu Zhen's shoulder. You heard her. Get lost, you little rascal. The next instant, this subordinate takes a punch to the face. Che Meihe looks on in disbelief. One subordinate is knocked out with just one hit. Everyone is stunned. They didn't expect Liu Zhen would dare to be so audacious as to strike. Liu Zhen calmly says, You seem to misunderstand. My employer is not Miss Che Meihe. The playboy trembles with anger. Really, this kid still doesn't understand the situation. Liu Zhen slowly says, I understand the basic situation quite well. Around Miss Che Meihe's contract renewal period, stalking incidents were arranged, and security guards were assigned to openly monitor her. Baroon Entertainment is facing funding shortages due to poor management and accepted KP's investment. At this point, if the company's top artist, Miss Che Meihe, doesn't renew her contract, it will cause huge losses for both companies, right? Hearing this, the playboy remains composed, seemingly confirming it, while the boss panics. I also know that if Miss Che Meihe is unwilling to renew with the current company, she will face numerous threats. Che Meihe looks at Liu Zhen strangely, wondering how he knows all this. She recalls how last night Liu Zhen kept taking and making calls, which angered Ziying and the others. Why do you keep going out during the game? Can you stop taking calls? How many times is this already? Che Meihe suddenly understands. Although his scheme is exposed face to face, the playboy isn't worried but rather extremely arrogant. Damn, so what? What can you do about it? Liu Zhen ignores him and asks Che Meihe, Miss Che Meihe, what do you want to do? Che Meihe is stunned for a few seconds. She clenches her fists, making a difficult decision. Liu Zhen watches all this. Tears wet Che Meihe's eyes as she says, I want to leave this place. At this moment, emotions suppressed for a long time are finally released. The playboy is immediately enraged. You bitch, where do you think you're going? Che Meihe looks terrified. Seeing his protected person being intimidated, Liu Zhen kicks the playboy hard in the stomach. The playboy grimaces in pain. He's kicked flying by Liu Zhen, landing heavily on the ground. Liu Zhen remains completely composed. The boss and various thugs are scared pale, frozen in place, not expecting Liu Zhen to directly attack. Four-eyed Thug quickly checks on his boss. Thug, now recovered, charges at Liu Zhen. You kid, have you lost your mind? A fist swings at Liu Zhen, who dodges easily. He counters with a punch to Thug's face. With just one punch, Thug is forced to retreat. Now a subordinate also charges. Liu Zhen blocks the attack, grabs his arm and delivers a heavy punch to his abdomen. Suddenly a figure appears behind Liu Zhen. Liu Zhen glances back, clearly aware of the movement behind him. It's Thug who has recovered. Liu Zhen quickly turns around. His movement's too fast to see clearly. Thug's throat is struck. Thug coughs continuously. Liu Zhen isn't planning to let him off, grabbing his head and delivering a knee strike. After a series of heavy blows, Thug loses consciousness and collapses. Just then, Che Meihe covers her mouth, warning Liu Zhen of danger. Liu Zhen immediately sidesteps, avoiding a sneak attack from a sneaky man. It turns out Sneaky Man is Four-Eyed Thug, swinging a baton at Liu Zhen, but he can't even touch the hem of Liu Zhen's clothes. To Liu Zhen, Four-Eyed Thug is full of openings. A punch lands on Four-Eyed Thug's arm joint. The baton drops to the ground. Suddenly, Four-Eyed Thug senses imminent danger. Liu Zhen bends down, looking invincible. The next moment, Four-Eyed Thug's chin takes a heavy hit, followed by a powerful kick from Liu Zhen. He's kicked out of the office, lying on the ground motionless. Witnessing Liu Yizhen's invincible demeanor, Mei is filled with shock while the boss trembles in fear. The playboy coughs a few times. Damn, do you know who you've messed with? You two are completely finished. No matter what means I use, I'll destroy both your lives. Suddenly, the sound of high heels on the floor comes from outside. You called early this morning. I thought you had something important. I originally wanted to give you some easy work. Didn't expect it to turn out like this. Mei discovers the newcomer is Shen Jiyan from SW. Shen Jiyan walks straight in. I'll clean up this mess, you go ahead with your business. Liu Yizhen answers, okay. Then he calls Mei to leave with him. The playboy looks confused. Why are you here? Shen Jiyan unhurriedly sits on the sofa, then says, you seem to have had some friction with my brother. Hearing this, the playboy and boss sense trouble. Let's discuss any remaining issues with me. The expressions of the playboy and boss turn as bad as if they'd eaten excrement, realizing they've hit a wall this time. Outside, Mei silently follows behind Liu Yizhen. Looking at Liu Yizhen's incredibly handsome back, she wonders who he really is. Just then, Liu Yizhen suddenly turns around. Where is that shooting location? Hearing Liu Yizhen's question, Mei smiles. She has never smiled so happily before. The next morning, Mei wakes up having slept for over 10 hours. Perhaps because all the troubling matters were resolved, her insomnia improved too. She hums happily as she jumps out of bed, brushes her teeth, washes her face, dresses up, and prepares to start her day. But the security guard waiting for her outside the door isn't Liu Yizhen. Mei finds this strange. When she learns Liu Yizhen has quit, her mood visibly drops, but she still manages her facial expression. I'll be counting on you from now on. For her next work, Mei does a series of interviews. But she keeps thinking about Liu Yizhen. Why did he suddenly quit? Even if he was quitting, shouldn't he have told me? Meanwhile, Liu Yizhen appears in Shen Jiyan's office. From Shen Jiyan, Liu Yizhen learns that Mei has signed with SW Entertainment, and the issue with the playboy has been resolved. Liu Yizhen says thank you to Shen Jiyan. Why thank me? You were the one who said you'd take responsibility for this matter. I heard you called the captain at dawn to help investigate many things, and the captain complained a lot, saying you gave him work to do early in the morning. Liu Yizhen looks at the captain, who coughs twice and says it wasn't that dramatic. Liu Yizhen then takes his leave. Shen Jiyan sighs, what a mess. I thought it was an easy job when I sent him there. The captain says he was shocked too. Walking down the hallway, Liu Yizhen suddenly receives a text from his sister. Brother, did you go work as security for Mei? Ziying and Yingkin mentioned it this morning, saying you all went to an internet cafe together. I'm so jealous, I'm her fan. If I had known, I would have asked you to get her autograph. Liu Yizhen freezes, stopping in his tracks. He turns to go back. Just then Mei appears before him. Fancy seeing you here? The security guard behind her thinks she clearly said Yizhen would be here. That's why we waited until now. Women are so strange. Mei is as happy as a flower. I have some business here. Can we talk? Then Liu Yizhen follows her outside. Thank you. You've helped me a lot during this time. Liu Yizhen says, you don't need to thank me. I just did what I was supposed to do. Mei seems downcast, asking Liu Yizhen why he stopped being her security guard. Liu Yizhen tells her that his injury has flared up, and he can't continue security work. Mei looks worried. You're injured? Is it serious? Liu Yizhen downplays it, broke a rib, but it's nothing. Mei's face changes, are you okay? Suddenly she reaches out her hand to Liu Yizhen. Give me your phone. Liu Yizhen finds this strange. Until Mei says again, hurry up. Liu Yizhen slowly takes out his phone. Nobody knows my private number except my parents. You should feel honored. She saves her number in the phone and hands it back to Liu Yizhen. Is there anything else you want? I want to do something to thank you. Just ask. I'll agree to anything. Liu Yizhen actually says that classic line to Mei. Anything at all? Mei answers shyly, yes. The next day, his sister is thinking about what groceries to buy on her way home, wondering whether to have fish or barbecue. Just then, a bouquet of flowers appears before her. But when she looks at the person holding the flowers, it's the popular star Mei. His sister stands there with her mouth open, not understanding why her idol is here. Mei smiles and says, you're Duoyan, right? Happy birthday, this is for you. His sister quickly accepts the flowers, thank you. Although she doesn't know how her idol knows her birthday, she's very happy. Then Mei takes a photo with her. Her classmates are envious. Soon this news spreads throughout the school, with students coming to see. But Liu Yizhen doesn't care at all, thinking, I originally just wanted an autograph. Later, he receives a happy photo of his sister with Mei.